Starting with
Jay Point.
Ruth Clements, Mary Kyle, of course,
Gary Duncan. Right there.
Carol Jacobs,
Sheldon Long.
Jennifer Hager, you're gonna have to bear with me because I forgot my bifocals. Okay, President's remarks. Just this last Monday, we had the acreage, can you guys hear me? We had the acreage landowners association did a candidate forum, and they did an excellent job. The audience was very polite, so the people didn't get nervous, and all the candidates who talked did a great job. They were all great. And I want to thank the landowners association, and I'm sure I can speak for everyone, I'm sure, of all the hard work and the volunteer. They volunteer their time they put into this. And the Hamlin House, Jim's going to have to take it over because I don't know all the, but we have a yoga instructor now.
We have a couple of things pending. Dancing Waters Yoga is going to begin August 31st. Classes, I think she's going to do 10 hours a week. And that will be available on the information and schedule on the website. And then Tuesday, we're meeting with Dr. John Zadina Ramos, who is an ecological, environmental, and sustainable urban agriculture consultant. We'll talk about community gardening.
What day is that?
Next Tuesday. So we've got some things going into this.
Okay. And then tomorrow we're going to have it's kind of like an open house before 7 for the traffic calming. So if anybody wants to come here, it'll be here in the office. And then Mintos on Friday at 9 o'clock. It's the planning commission. It's I guess they're going to explain to the planning. I don't know. I'm going to be there, but I don't know. Yeah, explain what that's about in case residents want to go.
The meeting on Friday is the County Planning Commission. This is the first major substantive step in this complicated process. The county created the staff report from the district planning division. It's not the zoning process yet. It's the planning process. Amendment of the comprehensive plan, part of the package that was submitted. So the recommendation of the staff have recommended approval. We presented to the planning commission on Friday. The planning commission will make a recommendation to the board of county commissioners, which is going to be held in the board of county commissioners meeting on the 27th of this month. And that's what the county is the transmittal hearing. So they'll take the package, and by the end of this month, we're going to know pretty much what the county position is on it. The staff position is.
Okay. And that's on John Road, just north of Okeechobee. You don't have that.
John Road. The planning commission meets on at the county complex on John Road, just on the road.
Thank you.
Excuse
Okay.
me.
Yes.
Excuse me. Did the staff, county staff, take a position at this point? They recommended approval?
Pretty much everything that we want.
Really?
You read staff report is available. I think I put it on the district website.
It is on our website.
Rather close collaborative relationship apparently between Palm Beach County and at least the staff.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now, the last thing I have to say is school starts August 18th, and, I know we get used to not school buses and all that, let's try to drive safe. And that's for me too. So, and I do must say, not testing the baby out. So. All right, so let's go on with our first, supervisor, who wants to go first? Okay, go ahead.
Through the chair, I want to thank everybody. I went to China, I enjoyed myself. I saw my son get his journalistic award, which made me very proud. I brought back some robes for the supervisors. Y'all take your choice.
What are you looking at? Wondering what that was.
Y'all-
You get one
y'all-
for the shelter.
I already had my hands on one.
I got black.
It's purple. Whatever. Keep going here.
I want to thank you guys for your indulgence. I tried my best when I was in Hong Kong to try and continue communications with you guys, but it was very difficult. There was a delay in the feed. And I also had some medical issues that I had to take care of, which took me out of my realm. But this is all better. We have things to do ahead of us. We still have to try and work on Minto, see if they can negotiate, if possible. But we have to stay together as one board and one voice. Thank you very much. Oh, and I would say it in public, but I won't say what. In the middle of Hong Kong, we have a gym. Out of everything in the world that I expect, he wanted me to bring back tobacco.
I had Chinese cigarettes, but this one over there.
So, thank you for your indulgence and let's get back to work.
And how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. No complaints whatsoever. I'm strong.
Good to have you. I think that's just all right.
I'll take congratulations to you. That's great. Thank you for the present.
I thought you preferred black. I knew the women, once they got held of it, you were going to get stuck with a red one.
I'm looking forward to the audit report because it looks like we have another clean audit, and I'm also proud of that. So that does it for me, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hager? Glad to see you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go on to the agenda approval. Now that's not back to the office of Jim's out, so it looks like he's already done it in red. So is that taken care of? We don't have to.
We need to,
Well,
do the public get to see that and change the journal? Did you ask the public last week? Or did you just move it?
it's on the website.
I didn't have an issue. But
If not, we'll discuss it. I just want to put a discussion on going out on video that we can do. I'll motion.
I second. I've already said that.
all in favor?
Aye.
It's already agenda, so we're going to put it on
You can put the
end, 11.5. So let's move on to presentations. Our auditors.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Deborah B.O.S., Principal of the firm of Franklin Hotel. With me this evening are Paul Maxwell, who is our senior audit manager on this particular job, as well as Julie, who is senior auditor. Between the three of us, I will be answering questions that you may have throughout the presentation.
10 years.
Excuse me, Deborah.
Okay, you're up. There's something with the microphone that's trying to hold it just close.
There you go.
Is this better? Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I didn't notice what you were doing at first.
Well, I'm losing a hand here, so I might work a little bit more slowly. We did issue an unmodified opinion on financial statements, which means that the information that is presented herein is fairly stated in all material respects. We had multiple adjustment journal entries that were made during the year. We did additional work based on the circumstances that existed due to the turnover in staff. As you can tell, we're here in August, it took us a little bit longer to get the job done based on the amount of work and the difficulties that were encountered, not necessarily with management, but Included in the package that I gave you is a letter, and that is required communication to you as those who are charged with governance over the district. We talk about a variety of matters within this letter. First is to discuss accounting principles, and there was a change to your financial statements this year. The Governmental Accounting Standards Board is very active over the last couple of years and will continue to be so. But the district now treats certain transactions related to your old bond issues differently this year and going forward than you have in the past based on the new standards. So those were implemented in this year, and the net effect was to reduce your net position by approximately $350,000 in the prior period adjustment, because currently now you are not allowed to capitalize and expense bond issuance costs over the term of bonds. They're being expensed in the year that they're occurred. So you have several bond issues that are outstanding over that period of time. Issuance costs. Can you hear me? Not really.
Sorry, we have another one.
I will start again. Is this appropriate? Also included in that package are copies of the adjustment journal entries that relate to the financial statements that management approved. Basically uncovered those during our audit procedures. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on your financial statements, and I would refer you to page 26. Typically, this is the statement that we review every year. It is the balance sheet of the governmental funds. And what I would point out here is that we really look at fund balance, the total fund balance at the end of the year to determine what your financial position is. At the end of 9/30/2013, the district's unassigned or assigned fund balance was approximately $10.1 million. So your financial condition is very good, and that is actually slightly more than your total expenditures for 2013. So that's the amount that you have on hand. The unusual transaction, or not unusual, but what generated a portion of that increase was the receipt of about $1.7 million from FEMA. During fiscal year 2013, the funds were appropriated and we received them in total by January of this year, January 2014. So that is what, that was the main reason for the accumulation between 2012 and 2013. And on the next page, on page 29, 30, you will see toward the end of the first column under the special revenue fund that the net change of fund balance is approximately an increase of $1.3 million. So you receive revenues of $1.3 million greater than your expenditures for that year. And again, that goes back to the funds that were reported from FEMA as part of their appropriation. The other schedule that I would take a look at is located on page 54. And this is your budget to actual statement. So what we presented here is your final amended budget for the year ended September 30, 2013. We compared it to the actual, and again, favorable variances in the majority of the categories as we're going through. The one reason for the very favorable variance in capital outlay goes back to a budget amendment that was passed, approved by the board for expenditures that were potentially going to happen that were capital in nature that did not happen. So I think as we go through the year, we've had these discussions with Jim and Don, when you do the budget amendments, you're going to specifically have projects that they're assigned to, so that it makes sense when you take a budget versus actual comparison. As I said previously, it was what we would consider a difficult year. We have issued another report, which is found on page 71. And this is our report on internal control over financial reporting and compliance with grants, etc. We identified significant deficiencies this year in internal control, and we also noted matters of non-compliance as it relates to the rules of the Auditor General, as well as the bond documents, bond issues that you still have outstanding. So those are more fully explained in the letter to the Auditor General, which begins on page 73, and you will find the findings on page 75. So without going into a great deal of detail, those of you that have been on the board for a while will find some similarities in these comments to what we had 4 or 5 years ago. And we see that essentially it's directly related to the turnover. There was a lack of controls based on not having enough people in supervisory positions throughout the year. We have discussed this at length too with Jim and with Don in terms of the things that you should be thinking about in terms of strengthening those controls. Your policies and procedures are going to have to be reviewed in total because you want to make sure that whatever was in place prior to July 2013, that if it's not applicable now based on staff changes and responsibilities, then you need to step back and take a look at your policies and procedures and develop, tailor those to your current operation, making sure that documents are being reviewed, adjusting journal entries, so there's a separation of duties. We've lost that a little bit over this process. I think we knew clearly that that was going to happen. In fact, my initial reaction when we lost the first position was that someone on the board needed to sign all the checks because you no longer had controls. And we saw that that happened clearly, that there was a board member signature on every disbursement that was issued from the district. So looking at that level of management control helps us out in terms of, it gives us a little bit more comfort if somebody at the supervisor's level has actually reviewed it and signed off on it. So I think that's the challenge this year. I know there's a lot to do with the change in staff and everything else, but you really have to step back and pay particular attention to policies and procedures. And I think that it would even be useful, since you are charged with governance and have the responsibility, perhaps to have some sort of a follow-up process. And it may be that management has already entered into this discussion with you. That we're looking at these policies in the month of June. It's a very simplistic approach to it. And we've determined that they need to change in this manner, and then they come back to the board for approval, because you do approve policies and procedures that are in effect. So can't stress that enough. I think it's very important, and I know that you want to get back to where you were, policies and procedures in place that provide effective internal controls over the financial activities of the district. So that's my main comment. I don't know if anybody has any questions about that.
The change in the bond issue where you put all the startup costs
The bond issuance
up
costs?
front,
Mhm.
is that something that Gatsby has changed, or is that something that's changed, or what?
No, that's a governmental accounting standards board.
Gatsby changed.
That's a Gatsby change, right. They have, like I said, they've been very active. You're going to start to see some more changes over the year with regard to your pension plan. But that was, those standards have to be implemented this year, and that was the effect on your
Is
pension.
there a particular statute that covers that, or?
Well, it's, the Gatsby statements are numbered, so this was number 63 and 65 that were implemented this year by the district.
basically we can't carry the cost of it throughout the years of the
No longer,
loan.
right, just the bond issuance cost. You are still allowed to capitalize and amortize the insurance premium, the insurance premiums that were paid at closing on certain issues, so. But the bond issuance cost, as mentioned a little bit earlier, the total was approximately $350,000 that was left to be amortized that we had to record as a prior period adjustment, so. But it's a one-time event, and that's done.
My question is, usually we try to get the board president and treasurer to sign. And right
Try to get
now,
what?
the board president and the treasurer to sign the checks. And right now, we have 2 board members that will not sign checks. You and Gary.
Every time we sign a check.
So you're available to sign checks?
Yes, ma'am, every time, always go with sign check. I don't know where you
Who's
were
that?
I didn't say.
I understood it was Gary and Jennifer who want to sign the checks.
No, it's only me.
Only, my thing is, I know Jim signs checks. I would rather have 2 board members sign checks. And then if it's not the president and treasurer, then whoever else signs, they make a copy of those checks and put it in every box. So the single checks are signed in case there's some kind of question. But now Jim does sign checks as that. Is that a problem that someone's wrong with teacher grant because there's only, a few people that are available to sign it?
Well, generally, you set thresholds for signing checks, and for example, anything over $10,000 requires 2 signatures, and one of them needs to be a board member. So, depending on where you're at now and what you're trying to accomplish, certainly 2 board signatures.
So as long as it's a board member and Jim, it's fine.
You need to work with, you need to determine what's the best fit for the district, and again, I would attach perhaps levels of expenditures, but to step back and take a look at it, you want to make sure you have controls, you don't want to impede your operations unnecessarily.
Because there's times that we do need to get something out right away, so I'm always available. I'm flexible when I'm either at work. And then Jim, I just want to make sure that's, if we have something that has to get out, it's Jim, that's in the policy then? Okay, so I think we should tonight put out that we're going to go with policy and work on all the policies. Discuss that.
So the non-compliance issues are, basically financial statements are supposed to go to the bondholders by March 31st. So again, non-compliance with that. We have got new compliance for a couple of years, but this year, again, unusual year. And then also because of the delays, we are not in compliance with the rules of the Auditor General of the state of Florida as far as spending your financial statements. So it's important that these get submitted immediately once they've been received by the board, so that should happen tomorrow. It should be, it's just, available to any of the board members, I hope you know that.
We need to, at the end, we have a motion. A motion to receive or file.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll look into it.
Ms. Alexander Larson?
I was kind of scared to listen to. I was told the 2 board members to sign the checks inside of my current numbers. The ULBC, they're doing a lot of stuff, changes down at county. It was good to see Ralph downtown. So Ralph, one of the county commissioner, release. And but I think I'd like to see board members at all of you, because with the changes with the ULBC and all the disadvantages of the development that's being bombarded upon the people of the neighborhood, which is an absolute crime. I think it's conducive to everybody shut off the lawn. Just one a year, that's all I'm asking, because we got it all. And especially with the changes with the ULDC, and the recent ULDC changes, which were, it was the first reading, and they're gonna have the adoption part a month from now. They literally are making it so developments don't have to have parks. So I guess Minto is gonna be using our parks. It's not gonna be stipulation anymore, it's literally the language is being removed from the ULDC, saying that a traditional development, a lot of these big developments, they don't have to have parks. They don't have to have recreational facilities. This is the language that's being removed from our ULDC. It's kind of scary. I really, because I read those 300 pages when they do this crap. And it is crap. I don't call it crap, but I call it crap with county, so I feel bad. But this is something we need to be looking at. Because, you know, here we are. We spent a lot of money on this district. We spent $17 million on a bond to do roads, and we paved roads to the roads. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? There's been things that have been done throughout the history of our area that we need to fix. And hopefully, we can rectify this. Because that is, when that language was being removed from the ULDC, that was like, oh, that's nice. Because we have so many parks we've invested in. So the 70,000 people or whatever's going to come here, they use our parks. Well, we paid for them. And I don't think that any development should be able to use our stuff without paying greatly for it when you do cumulative of what we've paid throughout, you know, my 20 years here, which is way too much, you know, when it comes to some things. And they should be able to do that either. So hopefully you'll keep an eye on that as a board of people. I went to the Water Resources Task Force, and I saw in the paper that everybody's controlling what a great idea the C51 reservoir is. It's not. It's being connected to the L8. And as we know from the last time I spoke, the L8 reservoir, when they drained it, drained Deer Run, which means it drained Indian Trail. This is a given. This is some bad stuff out there. Really bad mojo. And I think that the residents of the acreage, I mean, we need to put our walls up, gates up, whatever you need to do, because we got some issues out there. When they drained the L8 reservoir to try to fix it, the saltwater pond that we paid $247 million for, and a lot of people made a lot of money from. A lot of people went to jail with it. When they drained it, it drained the canals and the ponds in Deer Run. South Florida tried to deny it, and then they had to issue a permit for the people of Deer Run to pull water from the L8 Canal to regurgitate their stuff. It makes me so angry, I can't tell you what's happening out there that, you know, is not being reported, is not necessarily, you know, being transmitted or told. And I think a lot of people were aware of the Deer Run issue at the Water Management District. And, you know, never gave you a call and said, hey, Indian Trail, by the way, we're going to have to issue a permit for Deer Run because we sucked out all their water. If they sucked out Deer Run's water, they sucked out other people's water too. And I think the LA Reservoir and C51 Reservoir is the most horrible idea that was ever created because Devin O'Day, when he did his presentation at the Water Resources Task Force, said that they were going to charge $4 a gallon for storage in the C51 reservoir. So anyone who stands up and says, what a great idea, not, because a gallon of milk is $4 a gallon, if I want to remind everybody. These are the things these are statements that are being made, and hopefully a lot more people will start coming to these meetings, because then you can witness it yourself. Because when I witness it, it's killing me. I was up in Tallahassee with the Public Service Commission with the smart meters. I am doing that. You know, I mean, there's all kinds of bad stuff, but please take this. I'm just asking the board, start reading the stuff, or hire a secretary to read the stuff for you. Okay? Thanks very much.
Thank you. Ms. Nicole?
I just wanted to let you know too that I witnessed the South Florida Water District admitting that they had to give a permit to pump water from the LA back into the Deer Run canals. So it did occur, and I was there to witness that. It was at a small meeting where very few people were present. But concerned about the C51 reservoir because if the purpose of it is to store water for when we have a drought to offset someone else's needs, like south of us, Broward County. What is if it happened for a Deer Run? What is going to happen when they start pumping that down to put that water somewhere else? Is our whole water table going to go down? We need to this unique geology bathtub situation that they have there is very after this occurrence, I think needs to be scrutinized drastically. So we need to keep our eye on that. Another housekeeping issue. I've noticed that when you do the email blast on the agendas, I check to see what's on the agenda, and I just happened to check it today, and it was revised. Now it doesn't show the revision date, although it shows the revised package on the website. So my concern is that if you are going to revise these, you should do another email blast to everyone to let them know that the thing has been revised. Also, I'd like to ask, is it really meeting the requirement for notice for public meeting requirements by law? I don't know how many days you have to have that out. Maybe you could clarify that, how many days it has to be out there for the public. And if it was revised today or yesterday, I can't tell from the website, then maybe it's not meeting the public notice requirements. So I think that should be looked into. Also, I wanted to ask a question of anybody in the board that might know this, possibly Ms. Simone, but if you could answer it generally. I was trying to find the website for the Western Communities Council meetings and to review minutes and things like that, and I'm not able to find it. I sent an email over to the City of Wellington because the Department of Corporations lists principals, the registered agents as Ms. Pickle, Ms. Damone, and Mr. Coates. So I was trying, and the address is physically at the City of Wellington, and I wanted to find out where the meetings are held, what the agenda is, and the schedules, and I was not able to get it. I haven't received a reply back from Ms. Pickle yet, although I just sent it recently. So I'm very interested in finding out about these meetings and whether there's a website and how I can view the previous minutes and find out more information about it. Thank you.
Yes, and Columbia, I've been with the agenda review. My thing is, I've been saying this a lot, I want to know that information so we go over earlier before it's passed out on the website, because we're always changing things around. And instead of having to come here, let's go back to Jim's office, I will let it this meeting. Because, we keep changing around because if this all that up, it's better to have it on the website so that people know and have to change it last minute. So we're working on it. I gotta get in earlier, like right when they do the results and go over the agenda. It's really hard getting the attorneys and everybody to meet. So it's frustrating me big time because I know that we're gonna go to this meeting, we're gonna do this round, that round, that round. If you decide we're taking it off or we're putting it on, so yeah, I understand the frustration there. And we'll have Michelle or somebody get to find out how to make that address. Okay, next. Ms. Michelle Lynn.
I'm Michelle Lynn. I'm a resident on 127th Drive. And my original intent tonight was to come and thank you all because we have an canal issue. And our canal is not draining. It goes across. It goes behind our house and it runs north and south. So it goes under Orange Road and it wasn't draining from our side to the south side on Orange Road. We made a phone call to Ian Trustee on that same day, but they put a Band-Aid on the fix. There's an 8-inch drain pipe down there. And on Monday it was clogged again. And the problem is I happen to be one of the lowest landowners in the area, and I've been out here for 30 years. My parents have lived next door for 30, and I've owned the house before. And I just have standing water sitting in my yard all summer long because the canal isn't being drained properly. So my question is, what is going to be the permanent fix? I noticed signs went up that the road is going to be closed as of Monday. So I'm hoping that means we are coming to a permanent fix because I am now having sewer issues. because the water's not draining and the table's not broken.
Is your house in the middle of the street?
It's three houses down from the Department Center. So we're not in the middle.
Okay.
It's 4870.
We'd have your address here on the card.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the
Have they
lowest
gone
one.
out? Have they gone out?
They're taking care of that, right?
Is it tomorrow? Is that why the street's closed?
No, the streets have been closed for hours.
So is this going to be a problem for everybody?
Monday morning, start working. We'll go check out for situation. Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Marchion?
Mark Young, resident 48701 22nd Trail. Two issues that I had to discuss. One is interesting having a dog park. The nearest dog park for me is about a 30-minute drive to Wellington. There is one actually, I guess, in Royal Palm, which almost never has any dogs there. But the benefits I see for the community are, one, socialization of the dogs. So if the dog gets out of somebody's yard, they don't maul someone. They basically learn how to interact with both dogs and people. And second, it's a community. So that people who have dogs are able to interact with them. Because I realize people often meet each other through their kids in school, but if you don't have any kids, you know, that can have that avenue. The second issue was regarding B.O.S. actually. I contacted South Florida Water Management District with a records request, basically requesting the capacity of C-51 canal after Minto is fully developed. And I provided 4 copies of both my requests as well as South Florida Water Management's response, which is we haven't run the model for that parameter. In particular, I'm concerned about a major storm event, like what we experienced back in August of 2012. The road in front of my house became a canal, much like I'm guessing many other residents in the acreage. And so I'm concerned about that. But I'm passing the information on to you in the hopes that you may leverage that in your dealings with Minto.
So what you're saying is you called South Florida Water Management. They said they did not run a model on what that community would cost.
Yes, the exact verbiage is included in there. I basically worded it with a major storm event.
So they're developing a development without seeing how it functions.
Yes, I have the actual request as well as their response. They say they have a model, but they haven't basically inputted the parameters for the new. That's my concern. Thank you.
All right, now the dog park, all in favor? Dog park, I know, since we were talking about it, I have, my husband's an animal, he's a doctor. You know, I was close, I should have got an animal fetish, it's embarrassing. But I have 4 dogs. So it is true, dogs, 2 dogs left, when my dog left, 2 dogs. And they went to, they were depressed, because the dogs left. Well, and now with the Paris Hilton stuff, they raise every little dog. And my daughter, when she was little, they said, Mom, you know, she thinks because I'm a new trouble that I can do whatever. That's not it. She goes, why don't you be a dog park? I don't want to take my dog to the park. Well, Michelle's bringing it up also. Because now the girls have their little dogs and want to the park. But the thing is, everybody has their thing, your sports, wherever you're right. There's a lot of dog owners. And that's how you meet people. So there's a lady in here getting a perk the other day, and I said, she had a dog in her hand. I said, would you want a dog park? And she said, oh, yes, do you have one? I said, well, we're talking about it, but there's a negative and there's a positive. But I think that's a positive thing because when I first moved here, my husband was, I worked for lawyers for years, so it was like I was in the workforce and economics. I'm sitting watching CNN all day. He said, you can see it, whatever the news station. He said, honey, you gotta get a hobby. You're not gonna sit here and do this all day. And the same is with, you know, I needed to meet people. And your kids, when you're in sports, you meet the parents there, when you're in school. the dog owners need to be, and the dogs need, they go blah, they have their own acreage, but they need, to interact with other dogs, just like people do. So I'm glad you said that. Thank you for coming along and saying. Thank you. Next one. Leo June?
I have 2 points. Question where county judge Will is ever equally classified as agricultural farm. According to state statute. According to state statutes, where it classifies agriculture on these undeveloped parcels that is owned by a single person. It says that it is surrounded on at least 75% of this perimeter property that is existing industrial, commercial, or residential development. Property that the local government has designated in the local government's comprehensive plan, zoning map, and future land use plan, as being developed as industrial, commercial, or residential. The north section of Calvert Judge Road is the empty, which is on not zoned in the 23. That's kind of a legal question. Is really
Mr. June, I understood what you said. Could you get with our legal department and base let's get their opinions? Give it to our legal department. Hear their opinions and let them advise us if that's valid or not. If you don't mind. Second.
Second, please. I know we're talking about putting up signs and stuff like that. Wonder if we can change the trails improvement district, maybe the acreage special district. They're 300 acres and it goes back. And nobody else has. We all special taxes.
Through the chair. Here, to look at that and the Montford district.
Well, to change that would be.
I'm not talking about the name. I'm talking about the receiver fund, the challenging the agricultural office. Because I'm not necessarily sure that's what came out.
Pick us up and hit these trails again too.
I think it's more of a county.
Well, it does go with the state statute and like those criteria. But it's technically not.
So we received a file with no action. I'm not sure. What's the name?
Mr. Erickson, is that the same?
All right, next.
Mr. Mike Erickson?
Good evening, Mike Erickson, 13972 88th Place, Northwest Palm Beach, Florida. I'm not going to be able to stay. I've got a meeting in about a half hour, so I'm going to be out of here. So I'm going to try and make my comments on the whole agenda tonight in 3 minutes, which should be a pleasure for y'all, for a change instead of 12 or 14 minutes. I want to talk, first of all, about the getting rid of the excess equipment, or what did you guys call it? Surplus equipment. Surplus is only a surplus if it's sitting there and not being used. There's 3 tractors on there that were purchased by the district in 2008. By 2010, when Ms. Quickle took over, she started dismantling what we had put in place, which when I was on the board previously, there was
5 different zones that didn't overlap and didn't have anything in common for grading. There was 4 zones that weren't the same 4 zones that were for maintenance. There was 4 zones for maintenance. It was all over the place, all over the map, and each one had a supervisor in charge of them. And there was absolutely zero accountability for what they accomplished in a day. No measurable matrix whatsoever. I got on the board, tried to put in some common sense type things, some measurables, some accountability. That's been completely dismantled. The last thing to dismantle is to sell the 3 tractors that, if I get elected this fall, are coming right back, and the accountability, if I can work with the board, is coming right back to those zones. Okay? So we're going to turn around and basically give these tractors away at the highest bid, whatever that might be. And I think it's a complete waste of taxpayers' money. I think our structure's been dismantled, and there's absolutely zero accountability. No one can tell me what they should mow in a year and how much they actually mowed. There's no accountability to it whatsoever. So I completely disagree with getting rid of those tractors, at least for 6 months, and let the election results determine where you go from there. I want to stay on.
Don't worry about your time. Don't worry about your time.
Okay.
The decks is what you're talking about, tractor decks. Because the tractors,
2008
the
tractors.
big decks.
No, mower decks. That's
Which
all.
I agree with you totally.
And you're right, we took them off this.
We're taking it off tonight.
Oh, okay. My mistake. I mean, but it's the whole concept of accountability that really is, and this is just sort of the last frosting on the cake or dagger in the heart, whatever you want to call it. Let's talk a little bit about culture. You know, I've got a couple very successful companies. Our canvas shop is the largest canvas shop in the world. We do custom canvas. I've got just under 50 employees. I know what measurables are. I know what culture is. Culture can make or break an agency or a company. Common sense, logic, can-do attitude, bang for the buck. Those are the things that make, no matter if it's a government or a business, it makes it successful or it makes it not successful. And I think that the culture really needs to change through accountability, and all of these aspects need to be brought from the top down in this organization. The problem is, I don't think we do bang for the buck. I think we're going to analyze signs that were donated to you by wind loads and all kinds of stuff. How many of your equestrian signs did you go to the county and get a permit to put up? None. Why you're going to go through this actions on these signs that I donated right there? I didn't donate that sign to make more excuses for somebody to make more money. I want them up in the community. Where's the bang for the buck in that?
And the thing is, Mike, the county won't even be out here looking at them because we got bent signs on North Lake that they should be repairing.
We're going to get $15,000 mausoleum signs like we got out front.
I'm right there with you. So, it's my microphone.
They can still hear you.
No, I'm right there, you know. So don't take it as a, he's not looking at you.
No, I'm not.
It's the whole process.
Has nothing to do with
It's
you,
the whole
Jim.
process. When we were trying to get signs since 2006, we get one donated to us, and we got to go through the song and dance to get it put up. It's getting crazy.
Jay, do you have a
That's
comment
crazy.
on that? Or?
I'm not a structure person, but if we can put up a sign without a permit and there's a health safety, there's a health safety and welfare issue, what if it blows loose from a hurricane and kills somebody?
It's just like if any of these horse trailers are sitting in everybody's driveways and that stuff blows up and throws in. When a hurricane comes, everything blows up.
Any structure has to meet hurricane wind loads. If you can put that up and call it, it's not a structure, have at it.
We just want to spend $30,000 putting a sign up that we're trying to get up since 2006.
I don't want to argue with you, I'm just saying it's.
I can tell you right now,
Go north.
the district I work for takes a $6,000 sign and costs $50,000 for the school to put it up.
See, that's what we
Because they
don't
have to do
want. We don't
structural
want.
engineering, wind load, everything to keep it from being blown into somebody's yard.
Right.
And
But
the
that,
way,
even though that may not, I suspect it still applies for us.
I'm
as
sure it is,
insurance
but
and
the
everything
way
else.
I look at everything, we're a district here. We have engineers on board. We have attorneys on board. Why do we have to constantly be going to Palm Beach County to get their approval on anything? You're an engineer. You can't okay that?
No, you are not a a municipality. The municipality has that type of authority, the county has that authority out here. So if you wanted to
So how
become a
much is this gonna cost us
municipality,
and how long is it gonna take so we can get someday some signs up that say, welcome to Daybridge?
We'll be ready to put these signs up within 2 weeks.
Or we're gonna have to just stand out there like this holding a sign up?
Through the chair. Approximately how much will it cost to get permitted and approval?
I'm not a structure type person. We've asked the
How much
CapTech.
is your fee then?
Essentially nothing for me because I'm not doing the processing. CapTech is doing the structural wind load calculation.
Okay. When you do that, you can tell the county that they can visit the rest of the acreage because there's a lot of illegal signs currently up in acreage, including one attached to a school zone sign down at the end of the road.
That's code enforcement. Yeah.
Well, that is code enforcement. It needs to be gone before October 18th, or August 18th.
Next. Mr. Alan Baldwin?
First of all, I'd like to welcome back Gary from his long trip to Hong Kong. I was getting a little worried that he might join the Hong Kong Improvement District. At the meeting last week, there was a vote regarding paving of 60th Street, or part of 60th Street. And I'm very pleased that there were 3 votes to oppose it. And I'm very disappointed that there were 2 votes supporting it. I heard on Monday a board member state that 60th Street, making it into a major thoroughfare, is necessary. The actual phrase was, it is a necessary evil. That making 60th Street into a major thoroughfare would bring 17,000 trips a day, or 6 million trips a year, through the front yards of multiple homes in the acreage, and it would basically bisect the acreage. I agree with the evil part, putting North Lake through the middle of the acreage to carry traffic for Minto and GL Homes and others. I agree that that's evil. I absolutely do not agree with the necessary part. Necessary for who? Not for Indian Trail residents. It's necessary for Minto and for GL. I think perhaps someone got the meetings confused and may have been speaking at the wrong meeting. The Minto meeting was yesterday. Building the equivalent of a North Lake through the middle of the acreage is unnecessary, unneeded, unwanted, a disaster for acreage residents. Thank you.
I'll make this very clear. That's more of a campaign platform than it is really about a 60th Street issue.
Can't hear you.
Watch your vote. No one's ever accused me of that.
That's not even put a card in it for my.
The vote has already gone 3-2, so that's a campaign platform and not an issue to the board. So I'll just make it very clear, since you brought it up, that closing off 60th Street is actually detrimental to all the residents of the acreage. Public safety was not consulted. School board was not consulted. And you brought up paving and said what it actually is, and actually an improvement to the intersection. It's not paving. You just want everybody to believe that. Everybody to believe that everything in this community is about Minto, and it's not. The acreage thrived before Minto, and it will thrive again after. 60th Street at that intersection, if you ever use it, is detrimental to anybody's safety who approaches the intersection. The bridge is not safe. It's not safe to make a left-hand turn. It's not safe to make a right-hand turn. You want to make it a Minto issue? Make one. Have at it. Hope it's successful for you. I'm all about the public safety and the safety of the residents along 60th Street and the safety of the people who are traveling on 60th Street. You, sir, have made a detrimental mistake by putting that platform up here in front of the board. Go on your back.
Hang on there, Ralphie.
Yeah, I was the one that made that statement, and I don't think that we can stop the county from buying up the rest of 60th Street to, no, we can't. We already know that the right-of-way is there. All they're looking for is a permit for drainage, and they can get that. They don't need us necessarily. However, it won't be a thoroughfare of multi-lanes. It would probably be just a 2-lane road, just like it is right now. And as far as the 17,000 trips that go on every single road that you bring up, I mean, they can't go on every road, 17,000 trips. Because every time you use that number, you point out one road, 17,000 trips. You know, you talk about it on Seminole, you talk about it on North Lake, you talk about it on every road, Persimmon, Orange Grove. Every time you brought it up, it's the same amount of trips on that one road, no matter what it is.
I'd like to respond since I was directly mentioned. The traffic on North Lake is 16,600 in the section which passes through the acreage. Minto has proposed that 18% of their total traffic, which is 95,000 trips, this is based on the most recent traffic study which is available. They have not provided an updated traffic study for their most recent application modification. 18% of 95,000 is about, actually there were two numbers. There was 22 and there was 18. I used the lower number to be conservative, which is 17,100. But it could actually be closer to 20,000. I do not use the same number for all the roads in the acreage. I'm very aware of the numbers in the Minto traffic study.
Now, Alan, where did I hear, because I can't remember right now, that someone was saying that 60 is going to be 4 lanes? Where was that said?
I heard it mentioned.
I don't remember where I heard it. I don't know if you said it.
I heard it mentioned by
Did
George
Minto
Webb.
say that they want that 4 lanes? Someone said that's not planned
Madam
somewhere.
Chair, the application says it's 4 lanes within their project, as is
From
pursuant.
their project.
Within their
coming
project.
out.
The claim to date is it's 2 lanes, both in their project, but the claim to date is it will be 2 lanes from 140th to 1 to Royal Huntsville.
2 lanes.
That's what they're saying.
And I'd like to refer the board to page 11 of the Minto traffic study, which has all these numbers.
Thank you, Alan. Next. Elizabeth?
Good evening, everybody. So, my agenda was to get some signs put up, and then I'm hearing all these horror stories about permits and wind speed, and I'm like, oh, my dreams are crushed.
Is your name Elizabeth?
Yes.
Can you say your full name and address?
Yes, I'm sorry. Elizabeth Accomando, 13173, 67th Street, North.
Okay.
This is Gail. Gail and I are with Loxahatchee Lost and Found Pets. I don't know if anybody here is a member. We reunite Lost and Found Pets.
And thank you for having us here.
Yes, thank you. Recently, we put out a request and received some signs donated by Britco Sign. They make street signs. This is one of them. Right here.
That's a little nicer than the taped up on the.
That's what we thought.
Well, this is our thought. And because there's signs everywhere and not every sign is effective, but a sign is a huge tool in getting a pet reunited with their family. Not everybody's on Facebook. We have 5,000 members, that's great. But the lady down the street might not even have internet, but she's going to see a sign when she rolls down the street.
In that doggy park you're making.
Yes, we're all for that, by the way. So what we would like to do is put these at Community Park. And I was over there the other day and they suggested, come to the meeting tonight and bring a sign and show. So it's basically a street sign that they would use for a speed limit sign. However, they cut them down just a little shorter because we don't want to interfere with the driver's sight. So our signs will be lower. So we're thinking gathering places, Community Park, Hamlin Park. Plus we have for what I like to call hotspots of where dogs tend to be found and lost, and certain main intersections. Red Barn agreed, we're getting a sign put up there, so that's a great spot because a lot of people are going there. Cocoa Orange agreed to put up a sign on their property, we've got a great spot there. But we need North Lake and Coconut, we need Seminole Pratt and North Lake, we need Okeechobee, we need something on Royal Palm by Persimmon, we need something on Coconut, something on maybe Orange and Seminole Pratt, all the spots where we find the dogs the most for some, whatever the reason being. Oh, okay. So if it's feasible, we've got these signs and this is what we would like to do. So we would like your blessing, and obviously we would give you guys the signs to put in, but now I don't know about this whole hurricane thing, so, and we have 15 seconds.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Now, Ms. Jamon's going to talk.
Can we check and see if that particular, you haven't made all of those yet, have you?
Yes.
She made a dozen of them.
Maybe one with.
Do you want the poll too?
Let me finish. Make sure that it's at DOT standards. And so don't make any more until we know that for sure. Inside our parks, that's not necessary. We can put them inside the parks. But the majority, in the Hamlin House or Equestrian Park, whatever, that we can do for you, even if they don't meet DOT standards, so we'll find uses for them. However, the majority of the intersections you just listed are county. So what I would recommend to my fellow board of supervisors is for us to motion to write a letter to the county for ask assistance, but we do need to check first if they're FDOT standards, so don't make any more.
Gotcha.
We can help you out, let's see who's
Okay.
there. And then I would say for the rest of the board, the motion to include them in our parks. And one other thing on a personal note, what you've done is a fabulous thing.
Thank
You even rescued my dog one day when I was little in the trail meeting. It came up on my Facebook.
We like happy endings.
Got to hear. He's home.
Did you mention too about the stake, that it's the metal stake that?
Let's
like
let's
a
go
freezer.
FDOT standard first.
Okay.
So our staff will make sure that your signs meet FDOT standards in order for them to utilize it. Then we can write a letter. I'll put a motion on the table now that the board writes a letter to Palm Beach County asking for their assistance with these signs on our roads after we make sure that they meet FDOT standards. If not, any future ones will be.
Would you like the stake too, because it's almost the
That's
same
fine.
thing
You
as
can
the
leave
stop
us one
sign,
vote.
we'll bring one back.
That's fine. Yes,
Okay.
And then a second, oh wait, I have to wait for that one.
He's got a second. You got a
Okay.
second?
Well, no, I have a second motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. And then I'll put a second motion on the table that we go ahead, even the ones that are already created, that we can go ahead and put them throughout our entire parks. The dog park that's coming will be an excellent place. And actually, if you guys want to get involved in that when we get there, that would be nice
Yes.
too.
Yes.
There's probably other things you could do there. But I'll put a motion on the table that we include those in our parks. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. So if for some reason those signs don't meet FDOT standards, we
we'll-
can use those in the parks, and then any future signs that we build would meet FDOT standards.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you
Oh, thank
all
you.
so much.
I'll give all your
Thank you.
information to Jim, and then he'll
We've
keep in
got
touch.
it on your card.
Perfect. Thank you
Okay,
very, very
and
much.
thank you for coming.
Would you like
Thank
to sign
you.
for your, who would like this?
Just put them right against the wall there, I'll get them. There you go.
Next?
That's all for comment cards.
That's it? All right, we're gonna move down to approval of minutes.
A motion to approve 9.1 and 9.2.
All in favor? Second? All in favor? Oh, there was one simple misspelling. We'll do it later. Okay. It was just a little one.
That's fine.
Michelle. Okay, all in favor? Okay, consent agenda.
I'd like to pull 10.3 and move to the regular agenda.
We already did it. No, we didn't. 10.3. Second?
Yeah, Jennifer did.
Jennifer? Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve 10.1, 10.2.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Was five? Okay. So the one that we moved was 10.3, you said? And we're moving it to the top? Move it at the top?
Yeah, it goes to the top.
Okay, so let's go to the regular agenda. And we'll start with the 10.3, the signs. Location of acreage, welcome to acreage signs. Additional location.
I just wanted to be more specific about the locations. So,
What we were thinking was to have the board maybe submit 4 or 5 locations
goes more than that, because this is a discussion that we've had for years, and it never works out, because some intersections, although they seem ideal, are more complicated because of the easement, et cetera. So I'd like to go reverse and put a list together of what is the easiest to get located, and then go backwards to what is more complicated, so that we have a strategy in actually implementing the program. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
So
does.
to give you a list, you can put it in order of easiest to hardest.
Right. Because I've learned in government that baby steps accomplish things, but if you try to go for what happens is you go for the most difficult one because it seems to be the most logical one, and then all these easy ones that we could have done fall by deaf's ear because we couldn't accomplish this. I'd rather see it in reverse, so that we actually get something on the ground.
Sounds good.
Okay. And then I'll motion to approve, and with the suggestion of the board of supervisors submit their locations.
Could you second?
Whenever, before the next meeting.
I was gonna say, like a week, 2 weeks.
I'll leave it this next week. It's fine.
Did you second my motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Jennifer needs to speak. Okay, 10.0. All in favor, I'm sorry.
Every other mic's working, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mine doesn't. Mine doesn't work. Mine
If she
doesn't.
turns it on, it's gonna go.
I don't know, I don't think it's,
Something is interrupting the frequency on stereos.
is it cell phones?
I don't know
I'll
what
just
it is,
speak
but if
loud.
I turn it on, you're gonna get that loud
Yeah, we don't
echo.
want
Something's
that.
interfering with the signal.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Not really.
No, it's not on. See?
And mine's not on.
Jay's, your mine's not on either.
I don't wait.
Just talk, Jay, say hi, how you doing? You're
Do a sound check beginning with J.
Can you tell if you can hear it on the camera?
That's why I moved up front.
Is Ruth on? No.
Who's in the far back? Alan, can you hear us back there when we talk?
Can you hear me? I don't think I'm on.
Can't hear these people?
It's off.
Very good,
Mine is on.
very good.
Mine is not on.
Not
Mine is not.
on, not on. Neither is mine.
I don't think mine either.
Mine is not on.
No, no.
That's what we need to fix, mine is not.
Mine's not on.
So only those two.
Just those two.
They're very important to hear.
Jay's, as long as yours works.
engineering.
Yeah, there you go.
Excuse me, President.
Yes.
Can we take a break while the jump is?
Sure. I'll motion to recess? 5 minutes?
Oh, you're not gonna scare anybody, just take the microphone.
So then that's
This is what you need for all the speakers to work. It's not working.
Oh, and I can't wait till the school starts. No, I want to start thinking about something else.
More than welcome to do that.
We touched it here yesterday. We touched it here yesterday.
Thanks for supporting that document.
He's here.
Yes, and okay. You said something that didn't originally, but when you said.
Oh, you know what?
Sorry,
You said that.
Have them in the truck. But they can't, they're not tied into your system.
But dogs gives people, and that's probably why, like, my daughter's 18 now, so she's basically out here in the park.
this part right here.
Excited about it. There's other girls who are age that would teach
This
her.
part right here is not working. But if I turn the
So
one
not only
speaker on, the receiver on, I'm getting that
It was just
loud
supposed to be
stretch
like that.
where
I thought it was
everyone's gonna kill me.
I saw it yesterday.
I don't know
I don't
if
really
it's
do
in
my
a
phone
phone.
or anything on there, but I do. If I have to give it to somebody, I give it to them, but I read a lot. When people work, and people
I don't know what to do back there, but they went from working, we tested it before the meeting started. We went from working to,
nothing. But I do read a lot of the
When you came on, tested them.
I know, that's what I don't understand. But,
None of my stuff. It's just a camera.
no, I don't know. There's something, Like with the high pitch?
No, they're not on yet, Ralph.
It's strange how only the two of them work.
Yeah, these aren't on. Can you turn? That one's on, it sounds like. No.
But the, whoever makes the things on Monday?
It says here, this is what negotiations.
They're still in. They have submitted
I know you did. That's like the whole thing is dead. Except for those 200.
Shooting range transfer. The system is
Because we did I don't think we're here.
There's no audio.
So it's the overall range
Something's up.
and now big I can put this up. Not give them the access into Moss. So they still, they're gonna be I didn't want
That's what I was
going to cost more money in the long run. They'll pay more interest because it doesn't look like there's trouble. But if we're not talking every time everything's good,
Hey, Alex.
ours on part.
Jim, do you know where to get across
I thought they moved it to regular buildings.
Yeah, that's what they talked about.
They've already talked about
The what video equipment.
Go home, Jack.
Exactly. I'm like you.
All right, everybody.
I did have a position. There we go.
Testing, testing.
We'll just have to talk about it.
The guys coming tomorrow morning.
Okay. Where are we going?
Alex wants to kind of start in on the sign.
No.
Can we address that sign thing?
We just,
I know, no, the big sign.
you want to go back?
Just a minute.
All right, Alex, did you have you said you had a sign? Is that what you're filling out?
No, I already have it. She has it.
Okay, go up to the microphone, because we're going to go back to it anyway.
I didn't know. That's what I just asked.
Yeah. Okay, Ralph would like to go back.
You don't have a microphone up here.
I know, we're just talking and talk about
Okay, you just gotta talk loud.
Talk louder.
All right, all I thought was with the sign, one, I think it's absolutely correct to build things to hurricane standards, because if our sign chops off somebody's head, they're gonna sue us. I talk about liability. I've been talking about liability since 2004, the first time I walked into the door of this godforsaken building. I have. It's never changed. And I was gonna suggest some places, because Harlina Drive is where the acreage starts on Seminole Pratt. Royal Palm and 40th, we used to have a sign. We had a beautiful sign for years when I first came up here, and it disappeared. I'm not sure. And whoever made it disappear should have put it back. I think it was the county when they were doing some water issues. So I think we could compel the county to pay for that sign at the very least. And if it does cost them whatever, I don't really care, because the county took the sign away. And then the other place was Coconut and North Lake. Those are the entrances to our world. That's the only place we really need signs. You don't have to have 400 signs. And even one of my suggestions when I walked up here, I don't know, it was maybe 6 or 8 months ago, I said, welcome to heaven. This is heaven, and I don't want to lose it. And I also wanted to say that during Mr. Erickson's tenure, they wanted a 3-lane 60th with a suicide lane. I remember this. You know, I got this Rolodex up here, and I'm stuck with what I've visited. And, you know, so to say 60th was there always going to be 2 lanes, it wasn't. In 2004, they had a big plan for, because that's where I learned the word bifurcation. I didn't even know what the hell it meant. It sounded like you were cutting up a cow. You know? So here you are. 60th is a nightmare. I'm glad that we're not going to build it. I'm glad they said they only needed 100 feet. And to say it's a health, safety, and welfare issue, yeah, maybe it is, but it's been that way since I moved here 20 years ago. And my friend lives on 60th. I also have a friend on 122nd who's getting flooded right now. But they were kind enough not to come in and, you know what I mean. They know you're coming, and Indian Trail will show up. That was what I said to the people on 122nd. Hey, you guys
The
will
reason
show
why
up.
the reason why I brought the sign back up is because the gentleman back here, the gentleman back here was tasked to work on it through the district. So I'm trying to get a conclusion as to what we're going to do about it. So,
Madam Chair, to put people's mind at ease, I think the engineering on this, the memo for this sign is going to run around possibly $2,500, maybe up to $4,000, and that's it for one sign. That'll work for all the other signs that we want to put up.
So all of them, once we pay that
The
one,
engineering will be no more than $4,000, I feel very confident.
and then the rest will just make sure the ground's safe.
that's,
Well, yeah,
I was just trying to clear that up, that's all.
No. But the 3 signs would pretty much cover your entrances to the acreage. Unless we're going to put one up next to the nudist camp, maybe on E Road, and say, well, the acreage starts here. It's okay, you know? But I hate when statements are made that are absolutely fabrications, you know? Because the 60th thing, there was a suicide lane involved and all kinds of other crap.
Okay.
So hopefully, good luck with that, and that's a sidebar.
All right, thanks. So now where are we going from there?
Like I said, I just wanted clarification on what we're going to do about the signs, that's all.
Okay, so you're going to work on that, Jim, then, and you Jay are looking. All right, 11.0. Okay.
You know, I certainly, I'm Joe Cappa with Cappa Engineering. Everything that's been said is accurate. If we had a DOT sign, it'd be fairly, a little simpler, and like you recommended to the dog people, that's the smart thing to do. What would be good, because there's time spent on permitting this, and there's time spent designing the sign and so forth. If we could do them all in the locations, I think that's what Michelle recommended, and we do them all at once, certainly the time spent would be a lot less, a lot cheaper, and we get it done. So I don't know where all the locations are. We'll get with Jim, and we'll get them all done at once, and you'll be all set.
Okay, great.
Okay, 11.0. We have 2 cards for 11.0.
For which one?
Or 11.0.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start.
So, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. And Heidi, if you could put that sketch that I gave you. Thanks. This is regarding, it's a cooperative agreement that has been sent to us from South Florida Water Management District. And as you recall, back in 2012, Governor Scott directed South Florida Water Management District to enhance the flood protection for the Indian Trail residents. The district has drafted a design. They're in discussions with Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission regarding the Corbett levee enhancement. Now, the Fish and Wildlife Commission has agreed with the design that's been drafted. Right now, South Florida has sent various documents up there to finalize their partnership with Fish and Wildlife, and as typical, Fish and Wildlife is just kind of sitting on those documents. So South Florida would like us to go ahead and approve this cooperative agreement and construction easement so that they can then say to Fish and Wildlife, look, we're ready to go, let's get going on this and get this project implemented. Now, on this, what we do have is a cooperative agreement, and I'm going to tell you what it doesn't do. It doesn't require capital contribution, which is what was required in the prior draft that they sent us. So there's no money coming from Indian Trail to South Florida. That's been completely removed. It doesn't have any access to Moss property in it. What they're doing on the green dotted line that you can see right here, that's where the easement would be. It's over sections 13 through 18. It's the north 70 feet of that south half. But it does not extend into the impoundment and then giving them access to Moss. So we still have that ace in the hole that the district told us they don't have access to Moss. We've preserved that. And there's also no open-ended access easement. The easement that they're going to be receiving from us and what they've agreed to is for a 5-year easement. So at the end of 5 years, it's terminated. If they're not complete with their construction and so forth at the end of 5 years, they have to come back to us and get us to extend it. But at the end of 5 years, it's terminated. And it's terminated as of August 6th. I put in as that as the date of execution on this. So it would be August 6th of 5 years from now. What it does do, it conveys to Indian Trail a right of entry. It is a revocable right of entry, but gives us a right of entry over the Corbett levee, which gives us some access to the impoundment area to maintain the pumps and so forth. And I've talked to Jay about that, and that's a good thing. It gives us more access to the impoundment area. It also conveys a revocable right of entry to South Florida Water Management District. And once again, this is a revocable right of entry permit to South Florida to have access to what they call the bench area to design the project and construct it. And it also grants a 5-year construction and access easement over that north 70 feet there that I've shown you. But once again, it is not over the Moss property. If we approve this today, South Florida is then going to take it and deliver it to Florida Fish and Wildlife and say, we've got to get going. We've got the necessary documents to begin construction. We've got a plan. Let's get going. And therefore, I would put it to you for vote.
A motion to approve?
I'll second.
I just thought I heard
Yes, you did.
Did you second?
I was motion.
I'm going to put you down as a second because you never did.
Excuse me?
Before you put it up for a vote,
It's just a motion. I don't care. I'm not talking.
All right,
I'm talking to him.
since the Moss property was my baby, I just wanted to ask a few questions. Can we modify the Corbett Borough levy? Because the way I understand it, it's going to, tell me the drawback in this levy, Jay.
The only drawback that I'm aware of is that it will reduce seepage from the Corbett Wildlife Area and groundwater flow. The surface water flow will still be the same capability. So if Corbett wanted to get it, or if we wanted to take it, which we do, we can still do that. I wrote down the numbers that water management generated. They said in their response to DEP that the current seepage is 61.5 cubic feet a day, and it will go down to 38.6 cubic feet per day. So it's a reduction of about 35%, 40% of the groundwater seepage.
Will that affect our wells?
It probably won't affect the wells. Will it affect the water table? It has the potential to lower your water table. South Florida has the responsibility to, and they own the water, so it's their judgment that it doesn't cause a significant impact. But will it?
Can that new
impact?
trail
Yes.
compensate for the lower water table?
We have no way to source the generate water, but if Corbett were cooperative, we could ask for more water from the control structure. But there is a negative. It will not keep the same seepage as currently occurs from Corbett. The positives are construction of the levee for most of the area, especially the weak points where there was threat of breaking during Isaac, for example. We also had operational problems because we were trying not to allow too much water level difference between Corbett and us because that could cause a break. So the advantages are we gain better control of what we can do and there's less of a threat. The disadvantage will there'll still be seepage, but not as much.
Okay, and Moss property, will that help us in terms of storage capacity when it comes to flooding?
It has the potential, and we think we have that hammer that gives us a negotiating tool to help us from 0 to 100% of our defined level service.
Because it's through your direction why I went after the Moss property to jump with it, because you said during times of flooding, this would help us.
Moss, of all the 6 or so alternates we looked at, the GL homes, the Mecca, Moss, the Minto property, and recirculating water, that has the most potential for the least cost. Moss property is the best option for us. The drawback of Moss, if I might add, is it's going to enter the federal process, which means it could take a long time. Unless we get a temporary authorization, which when this agreement, the next step in what Bruce is talking about, the next step, we will then go to water management to see if we can get a temporary.
A temporary emergency.
We would construct permanent facilities that would be labeled temporary.
Okay, and that's where we would, that overflow like the truck, and everybody don't like me using it, but
No, that's okay.
all right, we can construct that and it'd be a one-time cost.
It's temporary. That's what we'll shoot for, yes. And it has the potential of solving our defined level of services. That's 10 inches of rain, not 17 like you got in Ida. But that's about 4 more inches of capability than you have right now.
Okay, the difference between the Moss property and our out-of-pocket cost and say Minto and what they are saying that they would help us with drainage, which as Mike Erickson would say, which would we get more bang for the buck?
Probably on the order of 1,000 times more of the Moss property.
You know what?
No,
No, I don't. No, I'm not really.
No, it's fine.
No, Moss is by far a better bang for the buck.
Through you, Chair.
I know, Ross first name.
I don't think I was finished. And is there any way of that seepage that Corbett is going, is there any way to alter that design where we can get more seepage?
It would be a major alteration at this point. Essentially what has happened is because the levee has to be bigger, the water has been moved further away. And the further you have to flow water in ground, the less it will be. That's the simple explanation. In order to make water, you could purposely release water, or you could build an under drain system, if you will, to help convey water. That's not in. Remember, it's a $4 million grant by the governor of the state, and it's not in the design plan right now.
That's another thing. I mean, we supported that $4 million getting it from the governor. We lobbied hard. We got $4 million, and we need to go forward with this, show our support, that we're backing it, and that we're not obstructing the construction here. I really think that by, holding back that ace in the hole there with that Moss access, we're going to be able to get what we need with Moss and help us in the future.
All right. When I hear about seepage, are concerned about seepage, let's go back and look at the historical data from the last 10, 15, 20 years. We don't need to be worried about seepage. That's what caused Tropical Storm Isaac to last longer than 3 days, because the Northwest got hit by the seepage from Corbett. That's what caused that drainage to last a lot longer, or that flooding to last a lot longer than it needed to be. So the least of my concerns is about having low water tables in that particular area. That Corbett looked like Lake Okeechobee with a bunch of toothpicks sticking out of it during Tropical Storm Isaac, because they were holding water levels historically way too high than their permit allowed. And then they were seeping over so fast, going straight down the L Canal, which is why that entire community flooded as long as it did. And no matter how much you pumped it into the in canal, it just kept filling up, and that's why you almost had the failures at the canal up there, was because it was seeping so darn fast. So the seepage is the least of my concerns. The berm needs to be built. Moss property is a long-term solution and not a short-term solution. It is something that we should be paying attention to. It's something that we should be going after, but it is not the solution for short-term. That is multiple agencies all having to agree. That's the moon, the stars, and the sun all aligning together to make that happen. So we need to be looking at other avenues. Plus, in the Moss property, what is it zoned for? I don't think you can even dredge and dig deeper to have more storage capacity, correct?
That's correct. It would have to
So
be
we should be
stored
looking
on
at
the-
land in the residential ag area where you can dig deeper. And then bang for the buck, Moss versus Minto. Minto is going to happen short term versus Moss property happening long term. So the berm needs to be approved. It's something that the acreage deserves. It's something that the governor placed attention to on immediately. It's the reason why South Florida Water Management District has been attentive to the acreage. And seepage in that area is the least of concerns. You know, I understand, as much as I beat up Corbett 2 years ago, I understand why Corbett did what they did. They were protecting the wildlife. That's their passion. It's important. It's important to the environment. It's important to our community. But we had to find a way that both animals and humans can live and thrive in the same area, and that's what the berm allows. So I support the berm 110%. Ralph?
Yeah, I do have a concern with the seepage, because the seepage causes the land to move when the water on the other side's lower. So if we're going to have to raise our MO canal level to make sure that land does not move, like it did in Lake Okeechobee, where the wall actually started to move out because there was so much water on one side and nothing on the other side. That's the reason why they reinforced the Lake Nose dike around the south side. But not only that, I can't see why Corbett keeps so much water in there, because one of the complaints I heard about over in the Browns Farm area and different hunting areas was the animals had no place to go because the water was so deep. Now, if they continue to maintain, if it gets like a lake, like Michelle said, they're not going to have any place to go except the dike. So they better make it and get it done pretty quick.
They've changed that.
I'm sorry?
Through the chair. They since Tropical Storm Isaac, because
I know we
they
worked.
couldn't, no, they were forced at that point to start obeying their permit, because it was quite evident that they were irresponsible. But since then, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Jay, they should have been, their levels meet that permit rate requirement, correct?
I have not looked at that recently. I did write an opinion letter back in about 2007 or 8 that showed very specifically how they were not following their permit. And if they have been following it better, I haven't, Henry might know that better than me. Have they been keeping their water levels lower?
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody should be monitoring that. And honestly, Henry, why don't you provide that information to all of the Board of Supervisors? And I have a ton of pictures on my phone. I will send them all to you, Jim, for public records, because I actually want to delete them off my phone. But I have pictures from the air of the Corbett and that whole canal area and all the breach that we have, and you can keep them for historic value, because I really want them off my phone anyway. So I'll send them all. I'll start sending them to you for public records.
I was going to say that I'm happy to see the word revocable, and thanks for putting it in there. Nice, strong language there.
Good point. We had a motion on that or no? Yes, I am Michelle. Seconds. All in favor? Aye. Right. Oh, you have to.
Go ahead. All the cards.
Alex Larson.
Okay, let's do history lessons, because it was our former engineer who dug the hole too deep at the MO Canal there. We were selling the dirt. Indian Trail was selling the dirt. It was, what a great idea. And it was, the slopes changed for the MO Canal. That's number one. Seepage that's historical since before the dinosaurs that has been coming off the Corbett should not be cut in half. This is bothering the crap out of me because this berm was a joke to begin with. Let's start with the beginning of the joke. The tsunami that was going to kill us all. Because I got a phone call at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, and let me tell you, I was on the phone with some lead people at the sheriff's office guaranteeing me that it was going to be in the Wednesday Post that we weren't going to get killed by the Corbett. Because let me tell you, you don't want to wake me up at 3:30 in the morning. And I did tell the person they were an idiot. But this is historical seepage. This should not be cut off. Water tables should not be changed in the acreage because I just spoke to you about Deer Run. Water Management District lies. I'll stand up here and say it. And I'm going to say it at the podium at the board meeting. And I think that there's some, they don't tell you the truth. That document is saying they can do whatever the hell they want. That's wrong. And we need, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to call everybody in private for the legal eagles over here. This is something we shouldn't be doing, period. I've been studying water since I was 17 years old, and I've been standing at that podium for 14 years at the South Florida Water Management District with their silly modeling and saying that ain't going to work when they make the presentation. And then 2 years later they go, oops, well, the modeling didn't quite work. This is a true story. It's on tape. So don't sell me anything. I don't want to be sold nothing in this room. The LA Reservoir, the C51 Reservoir, this berm, Deer Run. I want to take care of the acreage because I live here. I was the last person to drain in the acreage, and I had to drain myself. I had to bring in pumps to drain Harlina Drive and Burns Road and Epson. We got hit the hardest because we're at the end of the dangling participle over there. We had to drain ourselves. And I've said it, I'm going to say it again. This is not a good idea. Not until you know what they're going to do with Mecca, because they're saying we're not going to get any water in Mecca, and they're going to cut off the historical seepage. See, the funny thing about the Corbett, and what I believe is it's 60,388 acres of, like a filter. It's clean water coming out of the Corbett. That's what's coming into our world. And we want to cut it by 35%. Are we idiots? No. Please don't do this. I want a lot more information before you sign on the dotted line of a document that gives them absolute reign. And you can put your hands on your head and look whatever you want, but I've been going to the meetings and watching the water.
I think we addressed the concerns, and I'll just say one thing. Historical, whenever that word is used, it always brings up red flags for me because historical, there was no Indian Trail Improvement District. It was all overland flow. Historically, how far do you go back to make it historic? We drew down the water level in our canals, which increased seepage. So,
Which increased what?
Seepage. Because our canals are not, historically in the wet season, your groundwater is very close to the surface. When you dig canals and lower the surface water, you drop it and you cause more seepage. So we increase the seepage by Indian Trail Improvement District. So if you are saying historical, I want to know, are you comparing it to?
I'm going back 40 years if you want to know exactly.
But before the canals, the seepage probably was less than what it's going to be now.
Can I?
Yeah, Alex, if you're going to talk, you're going to go
No,
next.
come on, back.
Well, I'm just, I'm sorry, I apologize, but I really care about us. I really do. I go to every meeting. I've sacrificed my life, my salary, and everything else, and to have sales pitches, because I'm really concerned about the water management district when it comes to the concern of where the water is going to go. Right now, they want to do the C51 reservoir to sell water to Broward. They promised us. Let me tell you, in a board meeting at Water Management, we were promised that the Water Management would never stick their toe in that pond again. You know what I'm saying? And that was a $247 million theft of taxpayer money. That was the L8 reservoir. Now we got the C51. And both of them are going to be intertwined together to take water and send it south to Broward. You can't do this. Because you know whose water is really good and who has water? We do. The acreage. When we were in the DEP study several years ago, I'm at the Hilton on Southern Boulevard. The only two places with clean water was the acreage and a little red dot up by Tallahassee. Every other piece of water in the state of Florida was considered impaired. That's the word they used. Do you know what impaired means? Poisoned, compromised, or just plain screwed up. And they fired the scientist. His name was Dr. White, Mr. White, whatever White you want to call him. You can go look him up on a website called PEER. They fired him because he said the waters were impaired. And I am so ashamed of the Water Management District, and I've been ashamed since I walked through the door. And I know a lot of people who know the first time I walked through the door, because the first time I ever spoke, literally, I was attacked by a hornet's nest of men who questioned my abilities. And one of them was an engineer that worked for Indian Trail many moons ago. He's not in the room today, but you know, this is facts. And I want us to be based on facts because I don't want us to lose our water. I don't want to be on city water. I don't think we should be forced to be on city water, but if our water goes down enough, or if our water, one place gets contaminated, we're in trouble. Our easements have been compromised. So I really want you to think about this. Even if you put it off a month and make the South Florida Water Management District do a presentation of what they're going to do. You're signing the document that I read. They're not giving you any details. They're not. We can do whatever we want for 5 years. Good luck to the people that live there. So please, every time I walk into a meeting, I am thinking about everybody. I don't stand up and say I represent anything, but I talk it and I'm passionate, and believe me, when I was in Miami-Dade County at 17, I told them to do the dye test on the rock mining. They didn't do it until I was 47. And guess what? The water ran red in 2 hours. Water is connected to water is connected to water. Don't let anybody lie to you. Really. It is. It's just the way it is. And you can cut me off. You can think I'm nuts. But let me tell you, I hope my words resound in your heads for the rest of your lives. Thank you.
I didn't cut you off because I know exactly what you're saying. Okay? And that's what I'm expecting our professionals to be honest with us. Because I know a little bit about this just because of the business I am. And over there in Wellington, what was it, Flying Power area, the Army Corps ran their water out, and they were bathing in bottled water every day for so many years before they got water. I don't want it to happen here. So I don't want anything to just be passed on by us that we're not understanding. So Alex might be right. We might have to have a presentation here. I don't want this to fly through.
That's all I'm asking. If I may, we've had a couple of presentations here from the engineers, and we also have been involved in reviewing the design as it goes through the various processes. In fact, that was one of the things the board required was for us to be involved in that. So we have looked at this design. We've seen the design. We've had John Mitnick and Jeff Kivett here, who are their top engineers, and Jorge Cornelio, and give us a couple of run-throughs on what is going to be done there. First it was as to what they're considering, and then it was down to what was chosen to go forward with. So that has happened.
Go ahead.
What Alex said is a very compelling argument. And one of the reasons that I moved up here, based on that same study, knowing that we have the freshest water in the state of Florida. And it's right. Right now we're in a terrible situation in Florida. We're in water wars in North Florida. We have saltwater intrusion. east of the turnpike. We're the only source of fresh water there is. So, like my grandfather would say, I would rather measure twice and cut once. We can put it off just a month and do more research to find out exactly when we do sign this 5-year thing, what are they going to do? We can't just give them just a carte blanche. And I just really, once we make this mistake, we can't turn it back. And I know that maybe historically, 35% of our natural seepage is not really a lot, but since I don't know, I don't want to take a chance on doing something that will eventually harm us environmentally. So I just say do a little more research before we make a decision.
Actually, let Jennifer know, and then I'll go ahead, Jennifer. This is for work on the berm, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Which, I'm not going to get into it, but the reason we're fixing it is because it was in disarray from Isaac, and that's what this is for. I'm understanding that that's what this is for, right?
Yes.
And the word revocable means that we can come in there anytime we feel like it, okay, and say you don't have access anymore, correct?
Understand that's on the right of entry for the bench area.
And then
Yeah.
that's all.
Yes.
So is there something that we're not understanding? Is there something that we're missing out?
I
It feels like
think-
we're having two different conversations.
We are. This is concerning access to the site to do construction. And I think what I've been hearing more is about issues with the construction itself, the design.
Okay, so tonight, we need to approve. I can't do it. Don't talk. Sorry, just listen. I'm making sure that my motion, or her motion, which would be our motion, was to approve this piece, right? That's what it's for.
It's for the cooperative agreement and for a temporary construction easement, yes.
Right. Okay, so the other part of the, I guess I'm confused because we're talking about.
The other issue is the actual design of the overall project, which is what has the, I guess, the 35% reduction in seepage. That has, as I said, I can let Jay talk about, but it's been reviewed, it's been out there for a long time, and it's been discussed.
If you recall, when they gave the presentations here, they looked at several options, and they did choose an option that decreased the reduction. It minimized the amount of reduction in seepage, but in order to get the levee designed to the standards that meet flood control requirements, you had to make it wider. And to allow us to maintain our canal, we had to have a little peak. So by nature of the design, it had to move back. We talked about a wall design, a seawall bulkhead design. We talked about a much wider design. They shrunk the footprint so that the seepage was reduced. The loss in seepage coming to us was reduced as much as they felt comfortable with. So,
I understand the vocabulary of seepage. I get it. I mean, and I'm not saying that it's been rude to you. I know, and I know where that's from. I know that that's where you're going with your
No, you
conversation.
don't know where I'm going, I swear.
No, hang on. With the word, if we're getting seepage from Corbett, we're getting water. Water. I'm a science teacher. I'm a science person up here. I tell you, I know that water is water. Okay. I know about water tables, and I understand. So if they're redoing the berm, which is where she's going with her conversation, or I felt it a minute ago, it's going to prevent water coming this way from Corbett. Reduce.
But
prevent.
we don't
know how they're going to build it, but you just
we do.
hope they do a good job.
We exactly know how they're going to do it. They've been here at least twice before. They gave us the exact section. They presented it on the board. I have reviewed it about
That's what I'm saying. I
half a
understand the
dozen times.
concern.
We are well informed, and the presentation informed us. If we want more information, it's available if you want to read it. It gets awful boring, but the net result, I'll give you a number in a different format. The net result is 4.36 cubic feet per second reduction when there's a good head going across. Now, let me just remind you of one other thing. In the dry season, our water is at L17. And of course, in the dry season, the Corbett comes down. The more closer they are together, the less seepage you'll have. And the wet season, we're 16, and they're higher. So these numbers are more indicative of the high seepage number. But if you want a volumetric, 4.36 cubic feet per second reduction is what Water Management District responded to DEP is what they're doing. So you'll still be getting somewhere around 20.
Well, where's the concern with the 35% loss? Where's
You are getting your canals are being recharged a little bit in the dry season, so it might mean an inch or two in your canals in a drought. Of course, when it gets to be a severe drought, the Corbett goes dry too. So the net effect is the balance of health, safety, and welfare versus the loss in the
I'd be worried about no water before we got too much.
It's not going to dry out your wells. You need 20, 40 feet according to how deep your well is. It's not going to dry out your wells. Could it potentially have some negative effects? I said yes right from the beginning.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Because I've been watching this way too long. At the Water Management District, they do a thing called a conceptual permit. That is always the permit. That's how it works. They'll say, oh, it's just conceptual. It's just a conceptual permit. But let me tell you, when they did Mecca and they did 10,000 other things to this county that really screwed us up, it was a conceptual permit that started it. And that document that Ann's holding in her hands, when I read that, the hair stood up on the back of my neck. My blood curdled. Because I'm really sad. I can't, Carol, you don't want me to name anybody, and you don't want me to talk directly to anybody, but, it's a compromise here. There's a conflict.
My husband just texted me saying, put this on hold.
Well, no.
He knows exactly what the water does.
Well, this is where I don't want to be sold a bill of goods. We can't reverse the mistakes. That's the problem.
Jennifer,
Once we make them...
We're worried about mental, we can't back this up either. You got to pay attention.
What are you talking about? What are you talking
And I just said something, what you said.
I wasn't talking to you. All the mumbling that's going on up here, why are you pointing out my mumbling?
Because I said something.
I'm talking to you. I wasn't directed to you.
I can tell you, the Water Management District, when they do a conceptual permit, I can guarantee you, I can swear to this on millions of Bibles, not even one. This is what they do. And then they just go hey boogie with it. And you're giving them a clean bill of sale. That is not a guarantee of how they're going to build it or how they're going to save us. Because their main goal right this second is to build the C-51 reservoir and sell water to Broward, and they don't care where they get the water from. They proved that to me with Deer Run. If they would suck out Deer Run and lie about it, and they did. They told me, you don't know what you're talking about, lady, blah, 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 blah. And guess what? Then they had to eat crow and give the permit to Deer Run to fill up their canals and ponds with the L8 water. Would you want L8 water? That's the stuff from Lake Okeechobee that everybody's so concerned about. The algae in the St. Lucie and the Caloosahatchee. I'm just asking you for time. That's all.
We're going to stop right now.
It's fine.
I would like to put this on next month's agenda.
I second.
Could I ask for clarification before we go forward? Are you asking?
I asked to speak.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
All right. I don't understand that we've spent 2 years on this. We lobbied in Tallahassee in 2013. We've had presentation time and time again. We have given professional staff direction to do exactly what they've done and presented tonight, and I can't believe that we're just going to sit here and put this off any further. We lobbied the governor came down, we've gone to South Florida Water Management District, we worked with all these agencies. If we put this off any longer, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of tax dollars that we've spent to date. We went to Tallahassee as a board and lobbied for this, and I personally went back this year to see if we can get another $4 million to complete the damn thing. So to sit here and ignore what we put all this effort into for 2 years is unconscionable, irresponsible, and misdirection by this board to staff. Period.
Okay, Michelle. I'm going to say 1 month is going to make a damn difference. And the way I look at it is, we cannot make a mistake when it comes to the water. We're all on wells out here, and there's water wars out there, and you cannot trust government.
I'm gonna say it right now, you cannot trust government.
Thank you.
So I'd like one more month of review.
Madam Chair.
It's not gonna hurt anything to go one more month, to do a little more background, and bring this back next time. Do I got a motion there?
Can I just,
Go ahead.
Motion on the floor.
can I just get clarification? When you ask for one more month, you're not looking for me to come back. Are you looking for South Florida to come and do another presentation?
I think you need to get your research and get each board member one at a time and explain this so we understand it thoroughly before we make a decision.
Did. Isn't that what we went down to?
I'm not comfortable, okay? I'm not comfortable, Jennifer.
I am.
I'm gonna be just like you with your shit. I'm not
Excuse
comfortable.
me, I hardly ever talk.
No, you talk on Facebook.
May I speak?
No, I don't, not anymore, for the second time.
One thing I'm going to say is,
You eat it?
we changed engineering firms so we could get somebody that we apparently could get most of the board to trust. Now, are we going to ignore his recommendations and legal's recommendations based on what might happen?
All I'm asking is one more month to
I'm just
research this a
pointing
little
out-
more so we're all comfortable.
Okay,
I don't want to make
pointing
decisions
out
that I'm
is,
not comfortable with.
okay.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
I think I'm the only board member who did support Jay being our district engineer. Am I correct? I think that was on the record. And I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm perfectly content with all this. We put 2 years worth of work into this, 2 years of spending tax dollars on our professionals. There's no reason to stall this anymore. Zero reason to stall.
One more month is not going to make a difference. It's 30 freaking days. So everybody, I want to feel comfortable when I make a decision.
I don't know why you don't feel comfortable.
I don't. Because I've seen too many lives be ruined with water. There's water wars up there. I don't trust anybody. I don't like when I saw all that construction out there in those holes. I mean, I didn't know all that was going on out there. You would think somebody around the board here would let us know that there's all this construction out there on those, over there by the pits. Where's that water going?
Through the chair, I can remember right before Tropical Storm Isaac, 2 people coming to this board concerned about low levels, not rehydrating our wells. And then, so we held the water slightly higher than we normally do because of the pressure that we felt from residents, not from our professionals, but from residents. Then we turn around, we get this 18.5-inch storm, and then we're all worried about too much water in our canals. You've got to make a decision at some point, and the Corbett was detrimental to the acreage. The berm is a must, so that the animals and the humans can live together. I choose humans. I love my animals. I got plenty of them in my yard too. But I choose human life and safety. This needs to move forward. We also owe the taxpayers of this district a responsibility to the money that we have already spent to move this project forward. And this has been a majority support through past board members, our new board member that's on here, and now we're going backwards? It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, Jennifer, you have
Good that you.
Al, go ahead.
We know, there's
one more thing.
cards.
This is ridiculous.
Don't worry about it. I get it. Okay, go ahead.
This means a lot to me. Jay, I supported you and I support your decision. Ruth, I support your decision. I also feel that you need to work on this project full time. And dedicate yourself to this project because this project will hurt or break the acreage, water. I don't know what else you're doing with, what else, if you have anything else, but I think you need to really break it down to us more. Because I've supported you and and you and I have always spoke good. But I can understand what President Jacobs was saying, but I can also understand what Michelle Lamona said, which is scary.
Hey.
So they both have a point. And I think that your presentation wasn't good enough for all of us to be on the same page. So I don't blame President Jacobs or Supervisor Lamona. I just think that if you would have put more emphasis in the presentation, the closing would have been easier. So therefore, I blame it on staff that they didn't explain it to us enough. Since I don't know about water, And I say it in public, Alex is my friend. And I've never seen her been so compassionate about
She's
something.
almost crying.
Because I care about us.
Okay.
And this was stuck on the agenda later. That's what I was gonna say. This was just stuck on there.
Okay, Alex, okay.
Well,
So I agree with President Jacobs, 1 more month. I still want this, but I need to understand it. Since we are going to affect people's lives. And once we give it away, we cannot take it back. Even though you got revocable.
that's never revocable.
You understand what I'm saying? I just need it to.
But I need you, that's the thing is too, I'm not against it, I want to understand it. Right now, I have little doubts, so I want to, because before I make a decision, because this is a very responsible job sitting here. I want to understand a little more. So I think you need to take a seat in the room and explain it to us, but at least me.
But I
don't
need
feel
to
comfortable
explain
with it.
to you that what I think you're more concerned with is not this document, but more the overall design that is resulting in the seepage. That's not coming from legal. That's going to be Jay
From South Florida.
and South Florida as the overall design. This document just implements, gives them the ability to go forward with the design that they've already approved. If you've got concerns about the design, I think that's where we need to go, not to explain what this document says.
Well, I'm never invited, it's usually people that are more than invited.
Through the chair. I'll motion, I think this should go through, and then I'll motion that President Jacobs takes a trip with you, Ruth and Jay, South Florida Water Management District to work out this.
I mean, are you all comfortable with this?
I'm very comfortable with it.
Are you comfortable?
No.
Are you comfortable?
I'm going to second to get you to go with them to see what.
Okay, so there's a motion, are you comfortable with this?
I'm going to set.
With the part that we originally are trying to agree on,
But
they can come present again if that's what.
I mean, but you're comfortable waiting 30 days?
I'm comfortable waiting.
I mean, tell me honestly, come on.
Fine, it's still like they've been working towards this for a long time.
Okay, so we
Here,
got
we're saying.
two. These two are all right with waiting a month and you two aren't.
I didn't say aren't, I said however the whole board, we just.
So Michelle's not.
If South Florida Water Management District, we want to have them come in, fine, have them come in, but they've already been in. It's right.
I don't see where their voice is going to be a comfort level.
Okay, did Alan put a card?
I have 3.
Okay, go ahead, first card.
Regarding, here's the microphone.
The system is not working. We got to talk loud. Alan, okay. We're back in the return back time. Just have to speak loud.
Regarding the legal part of this question, I think it's well crafted. Regarding the engineering part, Jay, did you say that it was 61 cubic feet per day down to, what was the second number, 30 something?
It's 61.5 cubic feet per day per linear foot, and 38.6 cubic feet per day per linear foot. And when you multiply the numbers out, it comes out to 4.36 cubic feet a second.
So that's approximately a 39% reduction in the flow?
Somewhere between 35 and 40 in my head, yes.
Okay. A 39% reduction in the flow is very significant. I've spoken to Mr. Guardiara, who's the hydrogeologist assigned to this project, and the numbers he told me were nothing like that. Has the design changed?
No, I'm quoting numbers that the DEP, that's the permit, it's actually a DEP permit to South Florida, not a South Florida permit, but in response to a request for additional information, South Florida quoted these numbers in their letter back to DEP. And I don't know what other numbers they quoted to you, but this is coming out of a letter from South Florida to DEP.
Okay. Just a little bit of background. There are two types of seepage that we're talking about. One is seepage in the groundwater, which is all underground, which is invisible and is going on right now beneath our feet constantly. And that's what provides water to our wells. The other seepage is a bad type of seepage, which is when the Corbett is high and it's seeping through the berm, and it will start erosion called tunneling, which can get worse and cause it to fail. So we're not talking about the bad seepage, we're talking about the good seepage. And it sounds like the good seepage is going to be reduced by 39%. This is very significant, and this needs to be studied. I think that the legal document is fine, but I think that perhaps the simple phrase, subject to review and approval of design, should be added.
It's already been approved by Indian Trail. I mean, Indian Trail has, well, let Jay speak to that.
But again, there were alternates presented, and this was the least damaging relative to seepage of the alternates presented.
Well,
that doesn't mean it couldn't be redesigned, but that's what you would, if you're asking for that, you're asking for a redesign.
Well, let me just tell you what might happen with a 39% reduction in the water flow into the acreage. Two things will happen. Can I talk? Two things will happen. One is water in the Corbett is going to back up. And areas where there's not a lot of flow in the Corbett are going to stagnate. And this is going to change the bacteria, the composition of the bacteria underneath. And Corbett needs to be aware of that. The second thing that will happen is the flow out of the acreage will not stop, but the flow into the acreage will be 39% less. So what's going to happen is our groundwater is going to decrease. Now, our grasses can go down about 2 to 3 feet. Trees, depending on the species, can go down deeper or shallower, but it's going to suddenly change the levels of the groundwater in the whole acreage, or at least in most of the northern part of the acreage. Jay, if there's 39% less going in and the same amount going out, that's what has to happen.
You got an answer?
It's
supposed to dry or right? I don't hear right now, so I don't want to hear this.
I said in the dry season, I think there will be less of an effect on the 39%. It's driven by the higher bids. Obviously, if you have less coming in, you will have a little lower water table. It's not 100% true you'll still have the same amount going out, because groundwater is driven by the different levels in the ground. And if this stays the same and this goes down, there'll be less going out. So yes, there will be an effect. I doubt seriously that South Florida's run their, I think it's called 2x2 model to add the Corbett levy in that analysis. But I mean, we could ask them for that and get an if they were willing to do it, which could take months, according to their budgeting, to get the exact number you're talking about. But yes, there could be an effect. My guesstimate is it's not going to be feet. It's going to be inches at the worst case.
Michelle's first.
Okay.
I just want to state this for the record. I actually agree with Supervisor Dunklin that when staff presents to the board, when you start to waver, is where you give the impression to the board members to have less confidence in what you're delivering. Now, throughout the last 20, 30 minutes, that's what you've done. So that's what's caused this to not go through tonight. So to me, when you make a presentation, even if you disagree with board members or audience members, to me, you just have to have a presentation, stand around and be factual. There's no room in here for emotions or opinions. It's factual information. I'm here to protect the residents of the acreage and prevent flooding, period. I don't need to be emotionally attached to it. It's not an emotional decision. It's just a decision that needs to be made. It's business. Mr. Crockett?
As people know, I'm from New York City. I'm used to turning on the tap and always getting water. I never had to worry about aquifers or wells. But I do know that if we don't keep our aquifer and we don't recharge our wells, it's going to be stagnant. That's not going to be, it's not for the citizens' health, welfare, or anything else if we don't look out for our wells. And when you say seepage, to me, the good seepage is to recharge our wells. Without that good seepage, I got a stagnant hole in the ground. And I just think it's worth one more month that Ruth can get her stuff together, and you can get your presentation together. And I think Ruth, you have to get this little knocked down a little better for us. Yeah.
Well, I think what we need to do, because once again, I don't think it's the documents per se. I mean, that's just legal writing. I think the issue is the reduction in seepage, and you need to understand that. And I think to do that, I really think we need South Florida here saying what they anticipate and let you ask questions of them, because I think that's the best way of doing it. I don't think, just waiting another month and having me go walk through the documents with you is going to address your questions, because I can't really tell you, whether seepage is going to have an impact on your wells or not. Jay has said he thinks it will be a couple inches at most, but that's all we can say. I think it's up to South Florida to come and support their design. And maybe DEP, if we want, they're the ones issuing the permit, as Jay said. So if they're going to issue a permit that endangers any kind of well thing, I mean, it needs to be questioned. But, you've heard your engineer, we've gone over the documents. That's basically where I'm at.
Excuse me. I would like to go to South Florida Water Management, and I will take the time and I will try. President Jacobs, she can go with me, and I can go with her.
Well, that's why I think it might be better if we're going to do this, and rather than do one by one people going to South Florida for an explanation, is have South Florida come here and explain it to us. They've been here twice before, but they've gone over the general design. Maybe now have them come and just address the issue of seepage and their response to DEP and the permit request as the amount of the seepage reduction.
Well, what I'm going to say is not going to be well taken by engineers, okay? I worked with RF engineers because of my radio background, and I worked with others telling me one thing and having something else happen. So, traffic engineers, everything else to go along with it. I mean, they're making a best guess estimate on what they know they have experienced and what they know of the, for instance, geology and so forth. I mean, my neighbor's got an 80-foot well within 25 feet of my 43-foot well. I've never had any problems. He has greenhouses and all kinds of stuff, so he draws lots of water. But so, I mean, I've never had any problem with my well. So, like I said, this is a best guess situation that's based on what you know of the acreage's groundwater levels. It's official water. It's rock layers. It's clay layers. I mean, there's all kinds of things that make up different levels of the water through the acreage. So, I understand where you're coming from, and what South Florida is telling us. I'd feel better if they did come and make a presentation, just to reinforce that. I mean, I'm just unsure myself after all this discussion back and forth. Not because of the emotional part of it, but because I'd like a little better explanation. I mean, I've heard all of yours, and I know you're not telling me something you wouldn't bang on.
Well, I think they're the ones that have designed this project. They're the ones that are answering the questions that are coming from DEP. They're the ones that put these numbers in regarding the potential seepage. So they've got some basis for it. I think if anyone's going to talk to you about it, it's better to get from the experts' mouth rather than reiterating to us.
I mean, I look at Lake Okeechobee. They're putting that slurry wall through the middle of the dike to prevent seepage from the lake coming outside. I mean, that still doesn't stop that water that goes underneath, like we've been talking about, underneath that piece of, because water will find a way through rock no matter where it goes. So I'm just going to hold off for another month myself.
Okay. Oh, were you finished, Ellen?
Yes.
Okay, so was there any more cards?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Chair. Ann Cole.
I agree with everyone else regarding having, I think South Florida Water Management needs to come and show the residents. The residents are the ones that need to be convinced as well. You all represent the residents, the people that have their wells. So we need to be convinced. And it was over a year ago that we had attended workshops where we were seeing that they were proposing shooting corrugated pilings into the ground, and like, I don't know, 20 feet down the ground, and people are going, wait a minute. And when Governor Scott gave the money, he gave the money to, according to their own website, he said that they should convene a working group to further, to determine a timely plan to further strengthen the integrity of the berm. Now we're not doing that. We're building a levee, which is further north of the existing berm, and that's going to change things. So we need to be convinced. As far as the documentation, I have concerns about the actual agreement. The agreement is giving them full access for 5 years, and it says the use of an access, ingress, and egress over, across, and through the easement parcel for any and all purposes deemed by the district to be necessary, convenient, or incidental to, in connection with the construction, operation, alteration, replacement, implementation, design, effectuation, or maintenance, including but not limited to the right to move, transport, store, operate, and stage vehicles, equipment, materials, and supplies of any project in connection with flood control, water management, conservation, environmental restoration, water storage, water quality, or reclamation, and allied purposes that may be conducted now or in the future by the district, or carried out the purpose and intent of the statutory authority of the district presently existing, or that may be enacted in the future. I mean, we're giving away the store, everything. And then we're going to have access to use it to go to our to do our maintenance. But then they're in the back here. They're saying that ITID shall not obstruct, inhibit, or interfere with the purpose of this easement or the rights granted to the district under the easement. But yet, if you damage it, you're going to be required to maintain it. It says the ITID shall promptly repair any damage to the Corbett levee which may arise directly, indirectly, or proximately as a result of the ITID's utilization of the Corbett levee. And it says that for the levee and the bench area. And how are you going to know if they have complete access to it? How are you going to know who did what damage when and whatever? I'm feeling that this is like we just gave it to them for 5 years, and they can enact rules to change rules, and they can do whatever they want with it, and we won't have any say whatsoever. That future thing bothers me tremendously. I just don't think that should stay. I'm sorry.
And when did you get this document?
It was in the backup for the.
Okay, so you probably got it before I just got it tonight.
Yeah, that's another concern about changing the rule or the agenda.
When I come to a meeting, I got a document I haven't even read it.
And I wouldn't have seen it if I didn't check it today, because I looked the first time and the changes were not there when the email blast was out. So I really think this has to wait at least a whole month, because I think it was too close to the meeting when these changes came through. I don't know what date they were changed, but I think it's a little bit less than transparent at this point. Thank you.
Do we have another card?
Mr. Markia.
And before you speak,
I just want to clarify one thing. There is a bench ashore, a small area that is ours and remains ours, and we will maintain it. It's at the bottom of the levee.
Okay.
The levee is not on our property. The levee is on Corbett property. It's not ours. It's not ours to give away. All we are granting is a 70-foot easement over our canal in that 10-foot area, so they can get to what they need to do on their property. We're not giving anything away that we own.
okay, but I think we should go with what Bruce said and buy them out.
No,
What's it going to hurt?
I'm just explaining that this land, we're not giving away, we don't have right to it, so we can't give it away. We're giving access to get there.
Go ahead.
Mark Young, 4870 127th Trail. I really was here originally for just dog park, but this is actually interesting. I actually studied civil engineering and used to design subdivisions over in Broward County before, back in the mid-90s. And
We won't hold that against you.
No, they do it right now.
okay, well anyway. Basically, I mean, as I understand it, basically we're just granting access over our property to the other, so they can construct it. I mean, I'm not seeing what the big deal is here. I mean, I actually did study hydrology, basically the permeation of water through soil. And yes, there will be some drainage, some permeation lost. But the reality is you're going to have it anyway when you build up a levee. And I mean, as I understand, I don't even know what the design is, but I'm guessing they're going to build some kind of like trapezoid structure to basically prevent the water from going over. If you narrow that, then you're going to have the issue of the thing collapsing. It's going to fall like a tree. And the water will fall within, flood everybody's house, and we'll all be very unhappy about that. Again, this is my first blush at this. This is a standard engineering design of a levee. I had no conversation with Mr. Foy before. I had no knowledge of this real topic before. It's not anything really outrageous, in my opinion, as a resident. I will worry about issues of losing funding if you delay it too long. And I mean, that'd be my biggest concern. If we're just really granting access over our property for them to build on their property. I mean, I went to law school over in Utah where they have real issues of water rights. States suing each other over repairing water rights, issues of whether it's repairing water rights or non-repairing water rights. And I'm not really seeing that here. This is just really flood prevention primarily. And as a byproduct of that, there's less permeability through the soil, which you're going to have when you have a levee. And that's kind of the ideal thing, because that way you don't have, if you have too much permeability, you actually have undermining of the levee, and you can actually have it collapse, which is even worse. And that's actually what happened in New Orleans. They actually had issues of collapsing, partly because they didn't have the levees with enough support to ensure that, one, too much permeability, as well as making sure it wasn't collapsing. And as a resident, I mean, I'm really more concerned about a levee collapsing than I am about the well running dry. Thank you.
Is this going to, if we wait a month, does it interfere with their say about the funding?
The funding is out there. What has been happening is South Florida Water Management District is concerned about getting Florida Fish and Wildlife to act on the documents that are there. And apparently Florida Fish and Wildlife has been saying they don't have everything. This is what is like the last nail in the coffin, to be able to show that they have now got access to get to the Corbett levee to do the reconstruction. So that's
the right process.
Absolutely. Now, I also briefed you on this last month. If you remember, we wrote a letter to the governor. I gave you kind of a brief because they wanted the capital contribution. We wrote a letter to the governor. We got them to remove the capital contribution. So we put it off. They've been pushing on this to get it on the agenda. I put it off from last month until we got that capital contribution out and some other things, and now it's coming back this month.
Madam Chair, can I add one thing, if you don't mind? This is part of, we use the phrase in the past, three-legged stool. Mecca being one, there's the gun range being used to barter against this and moth. Mecca is essentially done. This is hopefully going to get done. The next step is moth. It's all part of the cooperation to allow us to get to moth. So it's in your best interest, in my opinion. And if I sound like I wavered, I was only saying that there could be a negative effect from seepage or outlaw. This needs to go. If you want to wait a month, that's up to you. I don't think it will change your decision, quite frankly, from what you would decide tonight. But if you want to go over the information, and it would be, again, this is what's presented to you, we certainly can do that.
Jennifer, do you have any opinions? Do you have an opinion? Say something.
This piece, to me, like I said, is different than what the concerns are that I'm hearing. This piece, in my opinion, needs to go.
So what you're saying, we should, to get the legal going on it?
Yeah, because if you just
and then then we,
You could still have South Florida Water Management District here next month with this ballroom. This is just the agreement. This is the resolution for, and the language that I said, a revocable right of entry. So that's what this is for, so they can get to where they,
There are three things that would be done here with this cooperative agreement. There would be a revocable right of entry granted to South Florida Water Management District over the bench area, which is our berm as we have now. Then there would be a easement given over just that small section there of our land to get onto the Corbett land for them to construct, reconstruct, do whatever they're going to enhance the existing levee. And then the third is they would be granting us a right of entry over the Corbett levee, which we don't have right now, to get to our impoundment area.
okay, so legal and engineering both recommend we do this now, this agreement. And they would come to us and tell us.
We can ask them to come next month and give an explanation as to the overall approved design.
Where it's not, and reassures us on it.
Well, they can address the seepage issue. I don't know if they're going to reassure you or not, but they can address whatever the seepage issue is.
How long would it take them to get wildlife to get moving? I mean, they wouldn't start construction next month or next.
South Florida is going to be doing the construction, not wildlife.
Well, I mean, how, they have to stop to get them to finish the agreement though, right?
No, the agreement is basically already done.
No.
What it is the documents have to be signed, transferring, giving an easement over Moss.
All I'm saying is you're saying that wildlife is not obstructing or is obstructing?
Wildlife they're not obstructing, they just haven't moved. And what South Florida is doing is saying, this is what is necessary to get it going. We want to get this
When would they start
signed.
construction? If they had the agreement?
They're going to go out to bid, and then they will award construction. It certainly won't be in the wet season, probably somewhere early next year.
There you go. Okay.
Sorry, probably January.
Okay.
All right, we're going to take one more card, no more after this. Betty, Barbara's just going to, you don't have any more cards over there, right?
I just have a quick question. Jay, or I guess I can't address it directly to Jay, but if the design has already been approved, I'm addressing Gary then. If the design has already been approved, is it possible to change the design if the design is not in the best interest of the acreage? Even if you approve this is a legal document giving them a right to build, but if you give that, can you, when South Florida comes and does the presentation and you're not happy with the numbers and you say, is there something we can do with the seepage, a better design, can you go down that road? Or are you lock, stock, and barrel signing over and we're doing this?
Would you like me to address that? The revocables for the easement, not for the board. The design, you were given options, an option was picked. I don't think you'll get a change in that. It's not conscionable, let's say, to try to change the design. If you wanted to preserve the same amount of water coming in, we could negotiate with a condition that Corbett would be required to release that same amount of water.
No, it's weird.
Through the control structure. Okay, that's.
So that it doesn't.
We could get the same amount of water because the facilities exist. And if you want to add a condition like that, then we could try to address it that way. I hadn't thought about everybody's question.
So signing this document is not going to prevent you from doing that in the next couple of weeks or next
This document essentially
month?
allows them to go ahead with their design. I don't want to pull any punches and telling you that there's no guarantee that they would agree to it, but we can ask for it.
Okay, can we add that in now where you can go down and go back and we vote on that to add what you just said in there?
We could ask for a condition that they would try to release and balance the same amount of seepage both pre and post. We could ask for that.
Okay, what are we doing here? Was there a motion?
There's a pending motion to approve the agreement
as presented.
We modify it.
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Done.
Well, did you want to add the condition?
Yes.
I will amend my motion to add the dam condition. I want to move this along. Let's go.
Okay. A second?
That was done by Ms.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, amen. Wow. But see, you know, this is happening sometimes. You think you're gonna go right through the jail and you come into a little lake.
No, we have memory lapse. I can remember as clear as day, the room filled with people going over the design.
Okay.
No.
I know, this is.
I was listening to the same stuff over and over again.
Okay, guys, let's go on to where we are. 11.1, general service contract awards.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On June 4th, the district went out or received 9 responses to a general service contract bid.
Thank you.
The purpose of the bid is really to create a sort of pre-qualified general contractors so we can call on enrollment studies. Staff recommends awarding that.
Okay, I just have a couple questions. Did all the previous contracts get the courtesy call that you're going out to bid?
All of them and more.
Okay, and then the people that we have on the list, I checked Sundays.org, they're all on there, but do they all have current liability insurance?
Yes.
And you have a list of their subcontractors?
Yes.
Okay. Any question? Who made the motion? Who made the motion?
Nobody made a motion. I just made a
And
motion.
you've got a little additional supplement in front of you. We made the 120 lines of line item prices.
Yeah,
Can I ask you to not ever put microscopic print in the board book?
I know, I can't see it with my bifocals. Okay.
Moving on to the second.
Okay, wait, does anybody second it? We have, Mr. Beard.
I'll second. Just to move this thing along.
Okay. All, committee cards? All in favor? Okay, let's move down to the 60th, we're deleting the 60th permit.
Right.
Okay,
And
11
that's
point.
gonna be on the agenda next time, you're gonna get George in here next month? 'Cause I have-
Yes, George said he would be here next month.
Okay.
Through the chair, can I ask a different question?
Sure, go ahead.
Ms. Poole had brought up about public notice requirement. What is the public, if you change the agenda, what is the notice that you have to give to the public?
Let me just check back, that was just changed this legislative session, but I'm not sure if it went into effect now or later.
Okay, but what is it, the old one before it was?
There is nothing. There was no provision.
All right, 11.3, consider special permit.
Yes, and as we discussed in our previous meeting, that bail permits will probably be from consent agenda in the future. But there are 2 of them tonight. The first one is just one pole being replaced with a concrete. The second one, and you can make a motion for both of you like that.
I make a motion for both.
The
Sorry, in my head.
The second is about 30 poles.
Okay, motion by Michelle, second by Gary. All in favor?
Aye.
30 poles?
Okay. Oh, no, wait, was there something
And then
else?
we had video 11.3,
Yes.
11.4.
Both.
Yeah, motion for both. I'll make it loud and clear. Thanks, Jay.
Okay, then we put a new item in 11.5, purchasing equipment.
Madam Chair, I'll start.
Go ahead.
I'll put a motion to direct staff to go out and purchase video equipment so that we can start filming our own meetings in-house. The last 2 to 3 months, I've had numerous complaints from residents that either it's missing pieces or the volume, etc. And I'd like just to bring it in-house and have it on our website for just more control if we're going to do that. I appreciate the services so far, but I think it's time to bring it in-house.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Any more discussion?
I do think it's a good idea. We can bring it in-house and put it on our website, and we have total control of it in terms of archiving our history and everything else. I would like Ken to continue filming if possible, even though we have our equipment.
Well, he has that right to do it.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to say on top of that. May I, through the chair?
Go ahead.
This needs to work before we worry about video.
I know.
Okay, this thing.
8 years. I'm going on 8 years.
Here, this has not worked. and y'all can't hear me.
And I think
This needs to work
I
next
remember
month.
when you put out for a new video, you put out a new audio a year
Long time
ago.
ago.
I will amend my motion to include the microphone.
Okay.
And you're all right with that, Ralph?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, no, wait, was it Gary or Ralph?
That's why it needs to come in-house.
And that
Through the
includes the
chair.
microphones. Okay, go ahead.
I want an ITID employee to film our meetings.
With our
So that's all.
I'm just in a discussion, if you need to put it in a motion, I'll add to your motion. When I say in-house, meaning filmed by, equipment purchased by Indian Trail, filmed by Indian Trail, and controlled historical documents to preserve history, and I want it all in-house.
Okay, do I have a second on that, right?
So that's good, the contract.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna ask.
I'll do a second motion.
We need to do a second. I would do a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I'll go ahead and put a motion on, I'm sorry.
The existing agreement for the video services that we have, there is a 30-day prior notice required.
And I'll go ahead and,
have to get something.
let me put the motion on the table
Okay,
first.
go ahead.
I'll put the motion on the table to go ahead and give Mr. Ken Hendricks a 30-day notice.
Second.
Should we get the
I got a question.
Yeah, you're rented more.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
60 days.
Or maybe
60
here.
days. 60 days.
60-day
He
notice.
has a right to only accept 30 for the record.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
That's my question. What's wrong with what little Ken's doing? Everybody's been so happy with Ken all this time. It's
I'm tired of manipulation of the material. I want it in-house. It's
What's in
government.
it?
It is government meeting. It should be controlled and operated by an ITID staff person. And just all the missing audio, missing parts of the video is really, if we're going to do it, we have a responsibility to do it right. And I've had numerous complaints over probably the last 3 months from a variety of residents, not any one group, but a variety of residents on it.
On the contrary, I mean, I've never heard anything negative about anything that Ken's ever done. Only positive things, and more people are paying attention now. Thank you, Ken. And for example, this doesn't work, and I talked to you, Dawn. I'm sorry. I don't know, bad with your name. About getting, and I mentioned this a long time ago, about getting public records even available online so people can go and get whatever it is that they want and print it at their expense. I've mentioned that before, and we discussed that there's programs out there where that can happen. So if we're looking to archive videos and have someone in-house do that and pay them the overtime and blah, blah, blah,
They can do it all.
then why can't we go ahead and discuss the software that he's talking about and get that to where, so if resident X wants public records, they can print until their heart's content every single thing that we have in this office that would be available to them. And I really think that we should look into that.
I had a card in on that.
We're not done talking.
Yeah, we'll get
Okay, go ahead, Michelle.
The reason why we have microphone issues is because outside entities, and I'm not just talking about Hendrick Services, outside entities keep using our equipment, and it's causing failure in-house. It's just the whole picture. And I appreciate the service because without the initiation of it, we wouldn't be here. But I think it's time to bring it in-house and just control it for operational reasons, for archive reasons, for just perception reasons, and just all around. It just needs to happen, and then your microphones will work. We do need to get 2 microphones for the podium, though.
That's it.
Sure, okay.
The breakups and the missing pieces, you'll find it was on the live stream. Anything that was streaming live that was broken and missing pieces. If anybody went to the the recorded version, they got the whole complete thing. And also, you do have it in-house because I work on it. When I leave here tonight, it won't be finished until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'll be up all night combining these pieces together and giving them to Heidi. And Heidi gets them.
Do we have a whole list of them on our website?
Heidi gets them the following morning, first thing, and she has them right there. But the missing links, and That happens.
Through the chair.
It's just because you're dealing with the internet. Anything can happen on the internet, but that's live. For instance, I had to move from the back to the front, which was not my fault. I couldn't hear it back there, and I know that there's people listening and watching, so I tried to move up front to try and catch the audio.
So you're on the internet then, when you're doing
That's
that?
why it's a big drill. It's on-
I was still connected to the internet because this is on battery. So I could unplug and come right up here. I can run this whole thing on battery.
Go ahead.
I understand what you're saying, Ken. I've been in cinematography for over 30 years. And when I was in China, I tried to follow your live feed. It messed me up. I just had to turn off the computer and just listen on the phone.
Yeah, because there's a delay. There's a delay of about a minute and a half.
My advice to that, if the live feed is going to skip certain parts, don't put on the live feed. Just put on a straight feed, seamless. No cuts, no editing, anything like that. And don't try the live feed. Because when I was in China, even though I enjoyed seeing Carol and Jennifer,
You didn't enjoy seeing me.
You didn't mention me.
it was very hard and I even heard Carol get a little attitude. It was very hard for me to follow the live feed and try and talk on the phone at the same time.
Yeah, I was thinking of disconnecting the live feed anyways and just going with the recorded
Because
version.
you know what I think's happening, Ken? Because the people are watching the live feed, because I've got a lot of complaints too. And I think what they're doing is they don't realize you're taping it, so they don't go back and they've just never watched it, or they're missing pieces. They don't realize it's recorded later. That's what I think's happening. Because I'm getting the same thing, like, why are you paying him when we can't even watch it? They're getting really upset.
And the thing is that they go back to the live stream to review it. And they're just seeing what happened just when they were watching it live. They aren't seeing what was recorded, and the recorded version is the high definition, and it's unbroken.
And the only thing that I can say is that your video should be on our website.
It is.
No, but you have to look for it. I had to ask Jim, show me where it is.
Yeah.
And Jim even had a problem. He had to wait to let me find it, let me get it. And he couldn't go to it straight. And I think if you look at, I hate saying Riviera Beach, but if you go to Riviera Beach, it's right out front where you can see the live, you can see their film, and they even have it's documented right on their website, not in the page.
Now, Palm Beach Gardens, I haven't had one complaint, not one. And
we wouldn't know that, would we know?
You can call them over there. Not one complaint.
All right, so what are we going to do? We got a motion and a second? Oh, we got cards.
But, okay, can I ask who made the second? We had Mr. Mo?
Doubly.
No.
No, on the purchasing and
No, you
using
did.
it.
I think it was scary.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I wrote it down as a DD.
Okay,
For the
okay.
purchase of the equipment.
That's scary. It's not that great.
Well, it's very much.
Yeah.
It's really scary.
But I'm not so scared.
I accidentally checked it because the microphone was thrown in. I just said second, but it's scary.
The microphone is turned into?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, first card, Miss Ann Poole.
Okay, I put a card in because I didn't know what this discussion was going to be about until I heard your discussion. But my opinion is that the microphone and the sound system needs to be replaced irregardless. And that is causing problems for the videotaping and the performance that Ken is experiencing. And I want to know what the cost is going to be before you make any decisions. I'm thinking tonight that you should go into looking into replacing just the microphone system and maybe have a way that he can hook into it and see how things work after that, because I'm really fearful that when you go out and buy all this equipment that you're going to find that it's going to be a lot more expensive than you think it's going to be, and it's going to be a big cost for the thing. But so you need to look at the cost before you make any decisions about what we're going to do. That's my opinion, because we don't want to have to hire another employee to just do videotaping. When you're seeing that, I think City of Palm Beach Gardens is using this service too. And frankly, I think he's only been being paid for it for a few months now. And we have a lot of, in this building here, there's a lot of problems with the microphones that every time, and it's very distracting for the speaker whenever they're trying to speak up here to have the things popping and whatever. So that needs to be addressed regardless of what you do with the in-house or out-house, I'll put it that way. But anyway, I hope you'll look at the cost first before you make any decisions.
The microphones, that microphone system definitely needs to be fixed first, no matter what we do. But we have to be able to vote on, so we can look and see what the prices are, then we can make the final decision.
Right.
Actually do the purchase of the camera equipment if we go that way. I don't know what we're going to do exactly yet. I've been in the audio, visual, intercom, radio business for almost 50 years. Those speakers should not be there. They should be at the back of it because they interfere with the record with the microphones that are sitting right there underneath them.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I can tell you that right now. And even in cafeterias, we put the speakers down the back so the audience can hear in the back. And if you put them in the middle, then the speakers pick up everything.
Yeah.
I think we should go this way, at least to find out what we're going to look at for costs and everything. Get this part fixed.
But also, even at the county commission meetings, when they're doing their live broadcast on Channel 20, isn't there a delay? I'm sure there's a delay.
There's a delay.
So I don't think that's anything that they can
It's
help.
not that. That's normal for it to be a delay.
Right.
Because if they want to cut somebody off and start to cuss or whatever, or get it
Sure.
out of hand, they would cut them off. But you know, there's 2 or 3 guys that sit back in that room there that to the board's left that sit there and monitor that. They've had to go up to the dais several times to fix microphones and stuff like that.
Right.
Even get the board. So
True. That's true.
So I mean,
Thank you.
Yes. What's next?
Next card.
Next card. Who's the next card?
I'm actually going to be speaking for him.
Okay.
Yes.
Read it into the record then.
It's from David Bradley. He says, sorry I had to leave. Think about the financial impact that will be absorbed by ITID by purchasing, coordinating, and running your own concession firm. Ken does this for pennies on the dollar because he cares about the community, puts personal feeling aside, and approaches this from a financial standpoint. And you will see that Ken is offering a service to this community at a steal of a price. If you guys are having trouble keeping a simple audio system in check, what makes you think that adding a video component run by ITID will run smoothly? Outsourcing saves money. I say stay with Ken, and board members, please don't bicker. You'll upset the children. Thank you.
Who wrote that card?
David Bradley.
David Bradley.
David Bradley.
Madam Chair.
Is David Bradley in the house?
He's not
No,
here.
he's not here.
Heidi.
I got a love-hate relationship with that guy.
He's arrogant.
Madam Chair. Excuse me. Heidi, how many times did y'all check the sound system before we got to this point tonight?
It was good tonight.
Ken and I checked it before.
We checked it. It was perfect.
Maria and I, throughout the day yesterday, would randomly turn it on. I would have her talk in the microphones. I would walk. I would have her go outside with the portable. Have her sit in my office with the portable.
Okay, I just wanted for the audience to know that you did check the system before we got here.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
Through the chair. I remember when I first was elected, Miss now President Jacobs wanted to have the sound system replaced from Tanya Lewis.
I think that was the second time.
Earlier. It was not. This wasn't replaced. Those are new mics.
We have new mics and new wiring.
Out of the lines.
They did right before Lil left. They replaced the wiring.
Maybe we need a priest over here to bless them.
Through the chair, through the chair.
Go ahead.
When you take outside equipment, and this is not, we make business decisions here, it's not personal. When you use outside equipment, the equipment has been changed a lot, and you bring it in and against the existing equipment, it causes problems. And that's what's causing here. This is not personal. I think it's worthwhile to bring it in-house, control it in-house, put it on our website, and control the data.
And I know what you're saying is maybe everything replaced
Unified.
together with one company that does, right. Like we even just,
It was not involved.
And I want a second microphone because that's been a discussion.
I mean, how many times do we get microphones? Those don't work either. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I repaired the old ones.
The motion is to go out and purchase equipment in-house.
But the motion we just did was to terminate the services.
Oh, that's the second, we've already done that one?
We've already done the first one,
All right.
the equipment purchase.
With the 60 days notice.
On the agreement, and it was 30 days, but it was agreed to go to 60 days.
Now, I just talked to Mr. Hendrick, and he's willing as long as we need to wait, because God knows how long it's going to take to repair this. You know, it seems like every time, you know, at home, I'm going to get it done, I'm going to get it now. With government, it's like this could take 6 months. I mean, so Ken kindly agreed that he would stay as long as we need him, but his contract will be terminated.
We still have to give it.
If you don't mind, if I'm going to do it, cancel out the
But we'll still
live
pay
stream.
you while you're here, well, as long as we need you.
Cancel out the live stream.
That way.
Because I think the live stream is what's screwing everybody up, because they don't realize that they have the HD that goes to Heidi, and all it needs is better access to it from the website.
All right, I'm going to remake the motion that we go ahead and give Mr. Hendricks notice that the contract remains on a month-to-month basis until the equipment's purchased, because I still want him under contract. Guarantees you payment, guarantees us having access to the film.
And we'll get ourselves.
And we're going to no more live stream, we'll just go from that.
Yeah.
Right. So people, because the people, they just give up and they don't go and look. They just think that you screwed up. So, all in favor of that?
Can I clarify, is it, who made this, is somebody second?
Just someone second.
And is it the 30-day or the 60-day?
It's the 30-day notice with a month after that until the equipment's purchased.
Should we get a quote on the equipment before we?
You can bring it back. Just, it's.
He's still going month to month, we agreed on that, right?
Yes.
All right, so we can call the question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Not on.
And why not?
You give them a 30-day notice and you go month to month. All these reports.
And
I just want to add one thing.
if we're going out to bid, Ken could probably still, if you can find out and maybe put a bid in for installing the same thing. So give him that first
No,
one too.
I think Michelle said that it should be in-house, and maybe that's the way it should be. It should be in-house.
Well, I'm hoping that we could just install it, we push a button, we don't need any employee, it's just on the wall.
You still have to
it
have
turns
somebody
on.
with that camera.
Yeah, just one that takes the whole area. Yeah. Okay, go on.
Through the chair?
Yes.
We didn't, I don't know if you want to add it to the agenda now, or I don't know if we'll pass it, but every one of us got a copy of the treasurer's report / newsletter.
Oh,
okay.
I was going to say something.
Go ahead.
Oh, and your
I
report,
want to make it, hold on a minute, before you chair, this is what I wanted to talk about. Can you present next month or whatever, that software to put public record on the internet or on our website for people to get?
Get a little presentation together and show you what it can do.
Do I need to make that into the form?
Can you do it by September?
I'll try, yeah, I believe so.
You have the consensus of the board.
Do it for motion if you want to fill
No,
it out.
if I don't need to, I just want to make sure it's done.
Yeah, so try to get it on September.
No problem.
All right, so the first report is attorney's report.
The report is attached. We've been involved with those items that are listed, and we have been very involved with the consultants working on the B.O.S. project.
Jay?
It's attached, attorney report is attached. I will mention two things. One, real quickly, a real quick update on Minto. You know they've submitted a new application that reduces the number of houses to 45, 46, and other things. The only condition that the staff recommended, you heard earlier, that is recommended for approval, is a positive for us, is they will address regional drainage and or water supply needs, providing at least 160 CFS discharge, and they say 1 inch per day, which is really 0.18 inches for us, on peak, and a flow easement that's not important, and or equivalent solution. The problem with that condition is it doesn't tie us to an internal minimum guarantee, but that's the condition that's added. Since last meeting, the internal team has completed the traffic analysis, which John gave you an update, but it wasn't 100% finished for the 2996 home. We have continued to communicate with others. We revised the draft letter, mainly due to Jennifer's comments on it. We made it a lot stronger. You all looked at it, Carol signed
It was good.
It went to the county on 7/24. We're preparing for the meeting on Friday. We have another meeting tomorrow where we'll present our slides. And then, of course, the meeting Friday is the advisory. The meeting that the people who are voting on the decision is August 27th. That's the transmittal hearing that Frank will do about. So we're likely to get a very positive feeling or recommendation for denial from the Planning Commission, as they did last time. And the way it sits now, it looks like we're likely not to get what your team is recommending as the Board of County Commissioners, but we're working on that. If you have any questions on that, Frank and I are here, as well as Lorraine, we can bring you up to date, but I didn't want to drag that one on.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
The 160 CFS, which units will that, what M1, M2, where does that figure in?
They currently have 2 inches per day discharge in their smaller area.
Right.
They will transfer their 1 inch per day, which means 1.18 inches for us, to the M1 basin.
Okay.
So it would benefit everybody except units 6 and 12. If I recall.
Well, we have only M1, they're only M2. That's,
Everybody but the M3.
that's where their water goes, though, is out the M2. They own that canal.
So
Is that going to add
the
north
proposal,
part of water to their outflow of the M2?
the proposal is you take the water from our L canal to the M2 canal and they reduce their discharge. The alternate proposal that I put, they can design their system to take 1 inch per day can serve you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So they've got to. So what they're saying is they'll give their 1 inch per day, 165 actually CFS, up to us, which means 0.18 inches to us, because we're so much bigger. The alternate, which I put on the table, is we don't need any to construct any facilities. We can take advantage of it right now through Road 240. The only challenge to that would be that we have to convince Royal Tom that putting another 165 CFS through the M1 canal would not hurt.
Yeah, and the level of the C51 right now is pretty high. So that would be a struggle to get that through, because now you're looking at flooding Little Palm Beach.
Well, the other issue I was going to address,
Theoretically.
we can do it.
Which one? The M2?
We own the M1 canal.
Yeah.
They own
the M2.
They own the M2.
That's the one that comes down through 6 and 12. No, we have to deal with all.
You have to get permits. If I can move on to one other item real quick.
I'm sorry, that's just not a question answered.
Is there such thing as quick?
This one should be quick, I hope. The operation of our M1 basin was previously Pompano Northwest. Well, since essentially the deal has fallen through with LA because they're now using it for the Everglades, we, your staff and I, have changed the operation, so you're discharging by gravity through the Road 240 through Royal Palms through 651. We are restricted when the water level is too high in Royal Palm. So Henry has operated the manual part of the gates so that the automatic gate doesn't hardly have to open. And we're giving them lower water levels in the wet season, and we're discharging all our water that way. Besides, Royal Palm and us both benefiting, you're saving tens of thousands of dollars in fuel costs. This is an extremely positive thing that we have done. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. You're saving.
Can I say that earlier in the evening when you had an audience?
Yeah. Well, there's for your benefit. I'm not.
You wait till 9:35 and I'm exhausted.
Through the chair. Henry Shaw. Saving the district a lot of money.
Real quick through the chair. Can you do me a favor, just give, just do a little graph of the arrows just to explain it, just how it flows?
So explain it.
What you just said,
Yeah.
put it in the graph.
Sure.
Because I'd like to utilize it, that's all.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, you're done, right, Jay?
I am, thank you.
Okay, maintenance?
Finance first, 12.3 through 12.10, Madam Chair, are in your books. I would like to say one thing about the district manager, or from the district manager report. The second draft of our second newsletter, a draft, has been put in front of all of you tonight. Very preliminary. We were unable to find a picture that was suitable for Supervisor Douglas, so we're still looking for one of those.
For what?
Supervisor Douglas doesn't have a shot in there.
Oh, well, can't you just
All the others are
Photoshop them in there with
Maybe we
the...
could have Pamela have.
No, I think
Is that the final, that's a draft?
Photoshop.
That's a draft, anyway.
Just put it on the
Yeah,
back.
it's a draft, but
Through the chair. Just, actually, you did it in the last newsletter. Just put over here, well, that's where the stamp goes, but put somewhere the full board shot that we have and leave it as a consistent one in the
Yeah.
newsletter.
So
So,
that-
does that satisfy? The full board photograph?
Oh, yeah, a decent board program.
Well, then you're gonna have to redo it, so bring your camera and
Okay,
figure out,
I
teach
will
somebody
do
to
that.
operate it.
I will.
We're
But for time, yeah, to get this one out in a timely manner, that picture that we used in the last one, just put back on the back side of this again.
Okay.
Okay?
So if we don't get consensus tonight, if you could maybe email me your thoughts.
What did we name the newsletter before this one? Was it newsletter or treasurer's report?
Treasury.
It's a
Then I want to keep that consistent.
Yeah, because that's what it is.
And
Does it say
then,
treasurer's report on it?
I'll find out, but I'll dig it up and see. I
Listen.
believe it did.
I have a bunch of notes written on here, including that. You need to realign the pie chart. You need to capitalize certain priorities. You need to explain the forensic fraud assessment, the results. This, there's like, just some little whatever written here. Like this is blah and boring. If I was just the average Joe. Well, this is my time.
All right.
Like put some horse picture there, clip art, because that's what we're talking about is equestrian trails. I know drainage pipes aren't the most beautiful thing on the planet, but they excite some people. So put a picture of a drainage pipe there. And the only thing that I asked specifically in this newsletter that's not in here, and I know you might have been fit in, is I wanted an explanation of our reserves because I want the entire community to understand that our reserves are in healthy condition. So that was the one, as treasurer, that was the thing that I had asked in the treasurer's report.
We were prepared actually to.
Yeah. So do we, I'll put a motion on the table to go ahead and approve that subject to whatever board, excuse me, I'm saying subject to all the boards, whatever inputs they may have or comments.
And email me whatever.
Second?
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Gary, did you leave?
Yes.
He's going for
Okay,
it.
so, yes. Did you vote, Jennifer?
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Yes.
I'm going to amend my motion slightly just because this occurred last time, so I don't want to hear anything. What's today's date? The 6th? So in 7 days for the input to come back.
Thank you.
So that's August 12th.
I appreciate that.
Just so that staff has clear direction. Do you agree to that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
13th.
All right, the 13th, sorry. Apparently after 9:30 I can't add.
Okay, ready to go?
Motion to adjourn. Hit the road. Thank you.
Done, are you flying here?
7:30 in the morning.